Welcome back, friends, to Six Invitational 2023. We're about to go live with our first matchup. Top teams here in the bracket. So how about we have a chat about both of our squads, and first of all, introduce things for our game here between Heroic and Heroic. I'm El Semitic, your host. With me are Anne and Fresh. And we're going to talk details. First of all, what's on the line for both of these squads, because they are in the upper bracket, right? They can't be immediately eliminated with a loss from the tournament. They have 2 lives. It's a comfier spot, but are they like equals between their 2 regions? How do you see it?
I think in regards of groups, they are probably equals. I mean, they're both the 2nd worst rated team in their own slot. So for Heroic, that's 2nd seed, and for Oxygen, that's 3rd seed. I think this would be a really good matchup. I would not be surprised if we get a 3-mapper between this, because I would reckon that these 2 teams can probably really...
Pretty equal.
Yeah, pretty equal in that regard.
Okay, Jack?
I think both teams have shown moments of really good siege. You know, genuinely, Heroic have gone probably above and beyond expectations. And, you know, expectations coming into this tournament. Heroic have gone above and beyond. OXG have maybe dipped below the standard they would expect. But in terms of their performance in the groups, both kind of equal. Both had great moments and both had not so great moments. That's why they're kind of low tier 2nd and 3rd seeds, as Anne said.
All right, then how about we have a chat about our first teams more in detail in the series. We got Heroic up on the line. And this is, of course, an EU team that had a lot of promise, but faltered every time they were in a stressful situation. So how do we see them now being in the playoffs of the Invitational, a major upgrade from what we've seen over the past year?
In their heart of hearts, I think if you said to Heroic, coming into this event, 2 days with a sub with Sloth coming in, what's your expectations? They would have said, we just want to get our groups. So the fact that they got 2nd, I think is like exceeded their expectations. And I think they've played really well. I think Noodle particularly has been a beast on that entry game. I think he's done wonders for his team. He's made the step up and done really well. My question now is more, do they now, having achieved their objective, are they out of pressure? And are they just playing, see where they takes them? Or do they now start letting it creep into their minds? We're in the upper bracket now. We can make this a little bit of run and put a whole load of pressure on themselves. Because we know how Heroic deal with pressure generally is not very good.
Yeah, and the players really have been feeling the pressure on themselves, as they mentioned before. And when I prepped for Heroic, I looked at some of their strengths and some of their weaknesses. And it's quite funny how one is a strength, but then at the same time also kind of a weakness for them. And we should have a graphic to assist that bit of information, because Heroic are really good at getting an entry kill. But then when it comes to converting that entry kill into a round win, it's not looking all that good. Right, overall entry kill, right? So this is 5th place, and then when it goes to like converting that into an actual round win, they're 17th out of all 20 teams in this tournament. And attack is really where you see a massive difference, right? They're tied 2nd at getting the most entries. They're performing way better than the average. They get the entry in about 57 of the attack in rounds. That puts them at 2nd place. But then into converting that into a round win, it's only 12th place. And for defense, it's kind of the same. They're performing better than average when it comes to getting an entry kill on defense, but they're the 18th place. There's only 2 teams that are performing worse in converting a defensive kill into a round win. So it's kind of a strength. They get the entries, but this is where maybe that pressure starts to play into it as well, where they have that late round part and they fumble the bag.
It's just worth quantifying these numbers as well. The average, if we look at the overall, the average entry is 50%. Heroic is sitting at 55%, so 10% above. With converting it to a round win, the average is 66%. Heroic are well below that, in the 50s.
Well, because they had moved on from the group stage, Demo sat down and had a chat with the squad of Heroic. Let's see what they had to say.
The team's performance, well, personally, I think we should have 16 points. I think we were starting off well every game. We won first map every time, but second map we kind of choked a bit against DC and M80. But I'm happy overall that we managed to pull out what's needed to become 2nd. Oxygen, I was actually hoping to play against them. I don't think well, when they were Reciprocity, I used to play them, the old roster. But yeah, I think I'm confident going against them. We're gonna try to improve our defenses. Our attacks are quite good, but our defenses needs improvement. I think the 2 most impressive teams so far has been M&M and Sonics, in my opinion. Well, obviously M&M won all the games without dropping a map. Sonics looks good with Citizen. I think they're clicking together, and I think they're playing good shades. I think we will prepare the same way, to be honest. We just analyze the opponent, try to figure out what's the strongest maps to go against them, and try to play our own game, try to do what we can. I have nothing to say to Oxygen. I don't care about you guys at all.
That's probably the most emotion any Finnish person has ever given. There you go. Big ode to Kimi Räikkönen, I fear, is what Uno is going for in this case. But see the squad setting up. There's my long-lost cousin standing behind the team. But I'd like to turn our attention to their opponents on the other side, OXG. Please help us out, and what can they bring to this game?
Exactly, yeah. OXG is a team that has had 2 wins and 2 losses during group stage, a team from NA. And if there's 2 players that I can particularly highlight in this roster, we will have to look at Newers. He has been absolutely amazing on the entry. We highlighted entry for Heroic. Newers is really that person on the side of Auction that will get those entries on the boards. Actually, he is the 2nd best rated player out of all players in this tournament as of right now. He's the 2nd in KD and also the 3rd out of all players when it comes down to entry. Another player that I'd love to highlight is Dream. He's a bit more on that backline. He's a bit more of a supportive player, but he's in the 3rd right now of all players with the most plans. And he does also really have those moments where he will step up and really grab the round towards his side.
I think just a couple of things for me on Heroic is, one, I think they need to trust the process a little bit more. I think Fox is a terrific IGL, Dream's a terrific backline player. They need to stay with whatever plan they're setting up, because too often they kind of go missing in that mid to late round. And then secondly, I think we really, really need to see a step up in the entry and just the overall gunfights from Sweater. You know, they've moved him onto this role where he feels much more comfortable. It was highly publicized in Stage 3 that he wasn't on the right role, but actually his Stage 3 performance is better than his 6 Invitational performance so far.
Oh.
So we need to see a step up. He's definitely got it, and on his day, he's one of the best players on this team. But currently, it's not quite happened for him at 6 Invitational, so I want to see more from him.
All right, and sat down with OXG, asked them some questions. Let's see what they had to say.
Now that the games mean everything, not to say that groups didn't, but now that games mean a lot more, I think Heroic's a great matchup for us to get us into the bracket system. You know, we scrimmed against them while we were at the event. You know, they're good guys, they're great scrim partners, and I think we still have a good amount of tricks up our sleeve to pull out against them. The main thing we're focusing on improving on is our consistency and the lack of mistakes, and teams are throwing out new things that we haven't necessarily seen, or they're bringing up some aggressive plays that we're taking too much time to react to. Our main thing is just focusing on the adaptations that we practiced beforehand. The biggest threat, honestly, sleeper pick, I think Eminem might be the biggest threat, because no one knows what they do. This is the first time I've ever seen them start snowballing and just slaughtering everyone. Preparation for playoffs is a little different. Groups is a lot more of a marathon. So you're trying to not necessarily show too much, but at the same end, you want to be switching things up because you're trying to play similar maps so you don't show too much. This is a message to Heroic, Mr. Officer. I think you did a great job on the desk. And I think after we're done with you, you're going to want a permanent job on the desk.
Okay, well, oh my goodness, some spice coming out there.
Look, I'm not gonna lose my job. So.
There was one thing that I still wanted to highlight, though, in regards to, you mentioned Sweater a little earlier, that we want to see him step up on that role that he's playing. Actually, when you look at their stats and their operators, he's playing the same operators as Noodle has. He's playing Ash, he's playing Borden a lot, but then Noodle's stats are a lot better. He's looking at a 1.15 rating, and Sweater's only at a 0.87.
Well, that's something to keep in mind. Some numbers to clarify the gameplay itself. Now, our map bans for this series. Remind everybody, we're still on best of threes, just as we were in the group stage. We'll continue that until the grand final, best of 5. this Sunday. 4 bands go out first. We start with OXG pick. They'll go to Chalet. They start off on the defense. Heroic on Clubhouse. They start off on the defense also. And then finally, Oregon Heroic banning Theme Park. Jack, your thoughts?
So in this ban phase, I was actually very surprised. I was surprised by this ban phase. This is where teams are going to bring out maps that you're not necessarily expecting. Both of these teams love border and bank. So the first 2 bans, I think, is a respect to each other. Now, the pick's quite curious because OXG, they've picked quite a high preference map for themselves. They've looked a little bit internally. They've not looked at their opponent. And because, obviously, Heroic like that map. Now, Heroic's pick is curious because Clubhouse, for the longest time, was a permaban of this Heroic roster. It's still the same core. So to pick it into OXG, when it's OXG's #1 map preference over a long time period, is a very bold statement.
I like to see the decider Oregon as well, right? We've seen it earlier this morning in the graphic that you showed up where teams are hiding certain maps, and that was Heroic that have brought this map out now to have a higher preference on it and to perform better on it. If we look at stats, for example, on this map, it was a permaban indeed, but well, they're quite great on it now if you look at the site for Oxygen.
All right, thank you very much, my wonderful analysts. Our game is ready. Both OXG and Heroic are set. We'll toss it to our casters. It's Des and Ace.
Thank you very much, Milos. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to what's going to be the first of many incredible games today, Heroic versus OXG. I'm Des. This guy's Tim.
I truly am.
I'm glad you're Tim.
It's fortunate.
Pulse has crept in the building and suddenly he's casting Siege, apparently.
Oh, wow.
You'll be standing there in the server with a cardiac sensor and a C4, like, what the bloody hell am I doing?
Have you ever seen me and Pulse in the same room? That's what I'm going to ask.
I have not.
There you go. I'll leave that. That's up to you now. That's up to you to decide. Right, we're going to have a fantastic game here. I've absolutely no doubt about it. We've got second place Heroic going up against third place OXG in their respective groups. Exact same win and loss record, 2 wins, 2 losses.
Yep.
Heroic coming away with a couple of extra points, given that they were winning in regular time, whereas there was 1 overtime win in there for OXG. So I think Heroic came away with 2 extra points, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep.
And I just think we've got 2 sort of different stories here. You've got a team in OXG that, no disrespect to them, I think they played very well. We've cast them a couple of times. I've enjoyed watching them. It's been nice structured siege. It's been very good problem solving from them. They've got, a lot of good things going for them. But I think it's fair to say if Nuas doesn't show up, it can be a little bit of a problem for them. He is by far and away the man who's getting the kills. And if they don't come from there, you've got to wonder, where are they going to come from? On the flip side, we've got Heroic, who are playing with sort of a late substitution in Sloth, who's fitting pretty well so far, and they're making the best of it. And so there's 2 quite different angles there.
What I find really interesting about Sloth is he'd only played 3 scrims with this team before coming out for the event, and 6 months prior to that hadn't really played the game, so it was like, hey Sloth, want to come back over and play? And he's like, yeah. How much time we got? 3 scrims? Yeah, sound.
Let's go.
I spoke to him a little bit yesterday, and he did say, the first couple of games, it did take a little bit of bedding in. There were some comms issues. It wasn't they played bad, but there were issues they were clearly trying to work out, but they feel a lot of that has now been smoothed over, and now it's trying to go as far as they can. But like I said, like you were saying just then, for me, it's Nuas or bust for OXG. Sweater, being dead honest with you, just simply is not delivering the goods right now that you need from a player that's playing in these more aggressive positions. Whereas Sloth, if he's on his best, you've got some real scary frontline players coming in for Heroic who will turn this into an absolute bloodbath. That's the kind of game they want. Oxygen want a more structured one. Let's see who overwhelms the other.
The thing with Sloth, for many people maybe who are watching, who aren't as familiar with the UK scene and that sort of thing, which can obviously, of course, be forgiven if it's not your home region, but you might not know too much about Sloth. But for me, if you're going to bring a player in at the last minute and they just have to sort of work in the team, Sloth's the perfect kind of player to do that with because he'll just... You can sort of say, look, the team are going to do what the team does anyway. Sloth, can you just go and get some kills? That's what you need to do. And he's going to go and jump out of a window. He's going to go and do something unpredictable and get a kill or 2. He is the sort of player that can be flexible and that can sit in like that.
He has tried to play that style of game a lot of times, and teams figured him out, which I think is why he's always struggled historically. I think yesterday I was speaking to him, he was saying, right, tomorrow it's full Monkey King, which was a reference to a joke. I called him the Monkey King back in Challenger League years ago. He got it engraved on his AirPods, still has those with him today, and said, tomorrow you're seeing the real King come out. So expect a lot of aggression on the defensive side. But to touch on this round, something I've seen out of OXG a few times playing this map is Fox 8 on this Pulse. often in the actual team overall, no matter what the map is, we've seen it on Border as well, he kind of plays in the middle of everyone else and serves as the, as we know, as the IGL. He makes a lot of calls based on what information is coming back and forth, but he's always in the thick of things, and here he's the one giving information to his team on where they're coming from and then looking to direct the rest of them around that.
This actually rounds things out for us, getting a Chalet today.
I know,
this will be the
finally.
point at which Des and I have now cast every single map at 6 Invitational 2023, and we've saved one of the best till last. We always enjoy a nice little Chalet. So far, it's been tentative from these two sides, but it's your man Sweater, Des, who's going to get in, and they're going to need more of that from him today. Picks up Noodle, which is a great opening kill as well, and gives OXG an advantage. Fox here doubles down. You picked up on him with the pulse, and he's done the damage. Cardiac sensor feeding information in, and Uno will be the unfortunate benefactor in this case, taken down with the Nitro, and that's 5 versus 3.
Sweater getting Noodle is the big one because, again, Sweater's been falling short. Noodle has been mega for his team so far this competition. Top rated across the entire Heroic lineup and a real beast in the KD and entry department. Though, realistically, across Heroic, 3 players are actually quite close to each other when it comes to entry. So him being down isn't the end of the world. It's more consistency that lacks from Doom and from Sloth. They both have had a pretty good tournament so far as well. Doom on the upstairs here knows there's a couple lurking below, but unable to really smoke them out here, force them to step away from playing inside a trophy, which means in these last 40 seconds things can get a little bit ropey. New is being flashed out and forced away. Down come Heroic. They must know that he's tucked in. Yes, they do. And Sloth gets the kill with the Mark 14.
Nicely played from Sloth and Grizzly there, just double teaming Newers and making sure that he was in a no-win situation. But how about that long range effort? Gonna take Sloth down. In comes Sweater, managing to find one onto June. Sloth likely to be recovered onto 20 health, but with 18 seconds left to go, he is not long for this world, and nor is Grizzly as the final kills come in, and that is a nice opening round from OXG there. I'd go so far as to call that comfortable.
I think comfortable is the exact word I'd use as well. You know, when they got themselves inside of Solar and started working their way through, that was really the main point of ingress for this attacking side. You had the couple of Grizzly and Sloth working their way up towards 90 and hallway downstairs as well, but it didn't really feel like it had much bite to it. By the time they got anywhere near looking at the site, 2 had already gone down. Oxygen showing some really good early round aggression and sort of tripping Heroic up before they could really get started.
Into round 2 we go, and it's going to be down to the basement for OXG. Looking down at the bottom floor, just opening up some nice angles onto the main breach. It's always an interesting one, this, because of course historically when we first started seeing this site in terms of competitive play, it was very much sort of push from that rear side, get big garage, get control of the hatch, plant in behind wine, and then we saw teams really figuring that out and bringing along new defences. I spent the longest time pulling out what little hair I had left over teams reinforcing that hatch in dining. It's all changed now, and teams sort of said, we need to think further than the hatch, we need to think further than dining, we need to extend out, and so it's gone just to a full map defence now. You'll have players up on the top floor, you'll have players sort of all over the place, and it is about a big roam clearance, and I much prefer the way that we see this site played now to maybe what we used to see.
What people at home won't know is I wasn't sure what was going on with your head then. I was like, how much hair did you have left? I was like, oh, you shaved recently. Was that yesterday's job?
It's not, yes, I usually do it the day before broadcast, so it has a day just to
I'm exactly the same with the shave, Tim, so I get it. I completely
has a day
understand.
to settle then, otherwise it's too short.
A prime growing length. I'm trying to grow like a soccer field to play
Behind
a
the
game on.
scenes, it's the information that people want to know.
I love it.
When does Ace shave his head?
When does he shave his head? Well, the day before broadcast is the answer. Sloth being chipped out here through the drone hole, I imagine. Almost got himself taken down as well. It was a very, very slow bleed as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, down to about 20 HP. Not the ideal start to the round for the hanging animal himself. He is playing on a slightly more, what you'd look at as a supportive role here, but we've actually had a number of entry fraggers. Doki jumps to mind as people that have played the Ace recently and using it in a more aggressive role because of the AK-12. And Grizzly, from up above, brings down death upon Nua's head. Off goes the Warden.
That's going to be something that Heroic want to continue. Is going to be, isolating Nuas and getting those opening kills onto him where possible, or at least take him out early in the round. As we've said, that's going to force OXG to find additional kills from somewhere else, and it's going to be Sweater that they're looking towards. And so far, like the postman does, he's delivering.
Slip past the net there as well. Grizzly's drone, I'm not sure where it was watching. I did just see one for a second on the 90 down in the bushes that really should have seen this little attempt coming coming out and would have kept Grizzly safe, just not rocking through enough drones. But here we come with a go-to execute, Tim, that we are so used to seeing. Uno's in with the plant down. Perfect cover coming in from the rest of Heroic. Only 2 left standing here in a post-plant situation. This one feels won by Heroic.
It's practically impossible to win at this point for OXG. Without winning, a number of insane gunfights, it just gets very, very difficult. They've opened the rear wall up as well, and Heroic are just going to sit back and watch long angles. I think they've got the hatch access. They do indeed. So there's very little Sweater can do here. 4-0 is almost certainly going to at least see his first death as he continues, just trying to bounce back and forward, see if he can find any kills at all. They're likely to be stat padding if he manages to find one. And there he is, shut down by Noodle as expected. Heroic, perfect understanding of that post plant. Once you've got the diffuser down behind the wine there, it's a simple case of holding those 3 angles, 1 at trench, 1 in big garage, and then 1 on the hatch. At that point, the game is pretty much won.
I did find it really interesting that we had Grizzly on the Thatcher being the one that was looking to clear through the entirety of the top floor. And we saw them get it off with just 3 players in tow, making things happen. I think chances are what they've done is open up the wall with Grizzly, then sent him upstairs once his part in that round was done. Again, unfortunate not to have the player core on the drone as they could push through in the piano. But at the end of the day, they only needed 3 on site to actually make it work. 1-on-1, and up we go to Master and Office Tim.
Going to be the top floor. We have seen this site really drop off in popularity, Des. It used to be like, the insta pick. It was, your primary choice was top floor Master. But no, we see a lot less of it now. Bar and gaming and kitchen dining particularly rising in popularity. And I think it's one of those that happens. We've seen it on Villa for a little while. We have gone back to the top floor of Villa now. But for a little while, we saw those ground floor sites getting picked up more and more frequently as primary. And what tends to happen is you get a rework on a map like Chalet, it comes in and there's a great site like Master and Office, so effectively it gets overplayed.
Same as Cash CC, yeah.
It gets overplayed by defenders and it gets played so much that the attackers really figure it out.
You know what's mad?
So it drops off.
We've seen the Chalet 11 times so far at SI, 122 rounds. The lowest played site is Master and Office for 28. The highest is Bar on Game with 33.
Yeah.
That is a really tight, close spread across the 4 sites. It's unbelievable. Very balanced map. Doom.
Ooh, again?
Yeah, that's the 3rd time he's gone down. We actually cast a game of theirs the other day where, despite him being the 2nd highest rated, he was invisible in that map, like 0 and 5 in one of the halves, I'm pretty sure. It was really painful to watch. So far, struggling to get himself into the game. I know Sweater's had a good start, mainly built off the back of round 1 where he found himself at 3k, but we're looking now to see, again, can Oxygen disrupt this more aggressive, dare I say, somewhat chaotic game that normally comes out of Heroic? So far, only the answer has been yes in one of these 2 rounds.
We're certainly not trying to put everything on you here. It is more than a one-person game. But
no, but when he's your star player at the end of the day?
The fact is, he's got the 3rd highest kills at the tournament so far.
And again, it's not to bash him, because if Shaiko's having a poor show, you're saying, where's Shaiko?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
He's a bigger player that you have to hold to a high
I'm just sort of contextualising it and saying he's got the 3rd highest number of kills at the tournament so far at 122. It's his performances have been serious so far, and it is going to leave a sort of a gaping wound in the side of OXG if they're having to live without those. Sweater, as you said, doing well to step up at the minute 4-on-1, but they're certainly going to need a lot more from him if this is going to be the case. Now, Fox is working underneath again on the pulse. We saw him have some success with the Nitro onto Uno last time around in round 1 when he was playing in this position. Vertical manages to pick up Sloth, levels things up nicely for OXG, and that's something that I feel they've done well throughout the tournament, really, is be able to level those negative man count situations. But Uno's in a planting again here, Des.
What a cozy 1v1 against Dreamer. Was trying to spread things out by the looks of it, and it's got him behind half wall there, basically unscathed. Oxygen not able to shut down. The Execute have now got themselves into a very difficult post plant, much like on the downstairs. It's almost impossible to find a retake here once that plant is down just inside of the breach. Heroic up 2-1 here on Chalet. Well done, Sloth. Suck yourself into it. Come on, mate.
A good turnaround for Heroic, obviously losing that first round. They've come back, they've bounced back nicely, they've got themselves a good couple of attacks. We would expect them, and the reason that I highlight particularly is we would expect the attackers to probably be coming out on top of things on Chalet, so Heroic just needing to make sure that they don't get themselves too far behind, which they've done a good job of so far. Remembering as well that this is OXG's map pick, so obviously OXG going to be expecting to come away with a win here as a minimum. They're not really going to be happy with anything less, I wouldn't have thought, on their opening map choice.
Well, we go back to that same site where it all started, and an identical lineup mostly coming out from Oxygen. Nua's on the Frost once again. Foxay on the Pulse that found themselves the opener, and Sweater, as we've seen throughout this half, sticking as well on the Azami, unsurprisingly given the 3-0 that he had to start. So really for Heroic, I'm looking at what they're going to change this time around. They're the ones on the losing side of this equation. They've lost this site once. They're the ones who have to change and figure out what they can correct to get themselves through. Last time it was both Sloth and Grizzly pushing their way up lower 90 and going direct towards site. And we had 2 or 3 working their way across the top floor, but they got absolutely deleted by Sweater and by the C4 coming out from Foxay. So a little more caution being shown by Heroic wouldn't be too far amiss.
Here we go then, 15 seconds into the action phase. Heroic largely starting on the north and east side. It looks like pressure's already going to be in place on office balcony. Foxy picks up Noodle, and that's a good opener. The last few opening kills have gone in the direction of Heroic apart from that first round, so it certainly seems like this is the magic site in terms of entry at least. And we're going to have Foxy just providing no information at the minute because he can't pick anybody up on the heartbeat scanner, but no information is still information in itself. It tells them that they don't need to worry about main lobby at the moment. Now then, June, he's going to start that top floor clearance working across. He's in conjunction with Uno, who opens the wall up with that skeleton key for him to give access, and Vertical is going to be coming under pressure very soon, but he's got himself in a nice position here. He's not going to overstay his welcome, I don't think. He's just looking to waste time. He'll take a little engagement and then bounce back. Sweater, he's going to get taken out by a bouncing nade there as June finds the explosive kill.
Good start balancing things back here as well. Last time round they were down 2 men and we saw how the round fell apart from there. Here they're keeping themselves competitive in the 4 versus 4. Almost half HP being taken away from Foxay as well. Looked like he might get caught out there. Still a C4 in his back pocket, so doesn't want to be going down too early. Cardiac sensor, incredibly value to feed exactly where this attack is coming from. And you can see Oxygen stationing more players up towards Solar as well. Really looking to push the point here and fight on that upstairs and keep Heroic at bay.
Sloth working across that top floor. Nade in hand, needs to be careful. Vertical will just take a few pot shots at him, but he's then going to drop away before the fight comes. Nuas goes with him, and that is pretty much OXG pushed back to site, and that could be slightly problematic for them here because there's a lot of time left on the board. They do have a man advantage, so it's certainly not the end of the world, but what they need to be careful of now, the next important thing in this round is that OXG don't lose players in the next 30 seconds.
No, that's the big one for me. You know, holding on here in this 4 versus 3 is super important. We've seen a good few teams this week just throw away numbers advantages, not once, not twice, but multiple times in a map, and you start thinking, God, how will we let this happen time and time again? So for Heroic, they're trying to do what they can here in the last 40 seconds with the number man disadvantage they have. Vert moving his way downstairs here. Michael for a little bit of a backstab if Heroic aren't too careful.
Potentially could do. They need to be aware of it. That's the problem that I spoke about. Sloth picking up Foxy, but they did at least manage to survive 30 seconds before that happened. No idea that Vertical was coming. He finds a nice easy one. Doom is going to find Dream though. Cut down by Nuas, who manages to get his first of the game to get his account rolling. And that is now a 2 versus 1. 15 seconds left to go. And as you can see, Oxygen, they've scurried Des. They're not sticking around on site. They know they don't need to. It's going to be very difficult for Grizzly to stick this plant as Vertical and Nuas are converging back in. I'm not sure if they're going to allow him to get it down though, and they are. He's got his gun back up. He can at least fight here, Des.
If Grizzly can clutch this, he's been so quiet across stage 3 and across the tournament so far. Sure enough, off to his right, but then gets blindsided by Nuas towards the right. Not going to win out this 1 versus 2. Well played by Oxygen to force the crossfire, make advantage of the numbers they had, and the retake is complete. 2 and 2. That's how things are going to sit after 4 rounds.
Yeah, that was good. I think, you know, sometimes you can get sort of overzealous, really. You know a diffuser's going down, teams will run back into site and all of a sudden find themselves on the back foot, maybe getting a bit too aggressive in that situation. OXG managed it nicely. I was a little bit concerned at them just allowing Grizzly to get his gun up. I think they could have been there a few seconds earlier, so he didn't really have that opportunity because, you know, let's not forget Dash that we saw for Lost One the other day, Des on Border, when he was allowed to get his gun up after getting the diffuser down on that bathroom tellers plant and sprayed through the wall, 1 or 2v1. You know, it happens. So they did give Grizzly the opportunity there, but not the end of the world. They positioned themselves very well. Kitchen and main corridor was a fantastic little crossfire, and it was pretty easy to close that one out for them. So OXG played that one well and get themselves back level. It's 2-2.
I had a bit of a chat with Dream as well yesterday, so I reached out to a few of the players just to kind of go, look, what do you feel went good? What do you feel didn't go so well during the group stage? What can you improve on coming into this fixture? And most of them said, you know, we feel we've warmed up as the week has gone by. Both of these teams have said the same, you know, Oxygen. We keep on talking about Sloth being brought in as the sub, Noodle being a new player. Absolutely. Let's not forget this is also Sweater's first tournament like this as well. So as much as there is some experience on the team, it's still a little bit nervy for them in terms of what they've got to deliver at such a big event as well. So both teams are kind of on this rise, they feel, in terms of how well they're playing, what the communication is like, the IGLing of both sides. But it's definitely one they've got to grow into. And Dream is a player that Anne highlighted on the desk. Really objective focus. When we get into the second half of this game, I'm really keen to see how many plants we manage to get down. We haven't seen tons coming out of Heroic so far. Had the couple that we've seen in the rounds that they've managed to convert, but Oxygen have had answers otherwise.
Some could say that for a support enjoyer like me, he's a dream to watch.
Very good, Tim. Absolutely disgusting, but
there we go. I'm going to take it. No, but you know, all joking aside, yes, Dream is a player that I really enjoy watching. Like you say, you know that he's laser focused on that opportunity to plant. And the clever thing about Dream is, as soon as the opportunity presents itself, where we'll see some teams maybe hesitate sometimes, he's already there getting the diffuser down. You know, as the words are coming out of our mouths saying there might be an opportunity here, bang, you see it going down. And Dream certainly doesn't miss a chance to get that diffuser down. He obviously, you know, sees the beauty in getting the case down and playing the objective. Now then, Fox is going to move himself onto the blue stairs. He's just been forced back a little bit there. He's going to play a little bit deeper, but not the end of the world. He's going to be feeding that information in. They are aware of him, though. The Jackal track, or was it Sweater?
I think it's
got picked up. So Foxy's got away with this here. And again, Heroic got hurt by Vertical previously. They're not aware of what's going on underneath. There's...
I think with the Jackal coming along, their whole goal was to try and smoke out those that are below. Sweater on the entry. What a game he's having so far. This time it's Doom being taken down. The Yana offline. Grenades in back pocket. No longer available in the round. But just to go back to that point, they knew that they'd have Foxy playing downstairs. So really, Oxygen have doubled up and sent Sweater down there as well to kind of expect this level of aggression coming through. Noodle on his one, but Sweater finds a second. We need to crap talk him a little bit more, I think, Tim, because he's absolutely flying so far today.
He's certainly picking things up. Noodle didn't do his job there. You know, sorry to call that out, but on the Jackal down in basement, you've got Pulse down there, you've got the Legion down there as well. You can't allow players on that basement and mid-floor to be going in and getting kills like that. I think not enough aggression from a Jackal in that position. He's got tracks ahead of him. You've got to go in and get those kills, and ultimately it has cost Heroic a couple of lives. Grizzly is going to pick up Newers, manages to get a second. How many times do we see this from Grizzly in the mid-round, where he just goes in and gets kill after kill after kill and brings things back for Heroic? 25 seconds.
Thing is, cardiac sensor. They see absolutely everything that's going on above them now. Grizzly can do absolutely nothing but look and hope and pray. Needs to get hold of the diffuser still as well, but doesn't have control here because of that cardiac sensor on the below. Goes to the table. There is no C4 to come through, but they might be able to just find him here as Vert comes charging his way through. Will Grizzly be able to stick it? No, he will not, as Foxy does find the angle, and they get the finish.
Better timing this time from OXG, managing to get to that planter in the point where he was defenseless. Close out the round. It was well played from OXG. It was, but for a mid-round flurry from Grizzly, I don't think that was a particularly close round. As I say, I think Noodle maybe just lacking a little bit of aggression on the Jackal there when he's got those pings coming out. He's got that information. You know, as Heroic, you can't be giving away lives at that point in time to players on those lower levels. You've got to be focusing on getting them dealt with. So a little bit of a misstep from them there, but not the end of the world. 3-2 now we have on the scoreboard, and I've got to say, Des, I feel that favours OXG at this point if they can take at least an even defensive half.
Yeah, I think where the telling sign is going to be really for me in that second half is, one, does Dream get away with the plants as we've seen so many times? On a map like Chalet, absolutely. But really the biggest tail of the tape in that second half is going to be, again, Sloth on the defensive side of this map. They've done pretty well on their attacks. We've seen plant after plant coming down as well. So we've seen 3 out of the 5 rounds, I think, with the plant going down so far. But I'm just concerned that on the defensive side, we might not see as much capability as we've seen here in the attacking side. Nevertheless, let's get round 6 out of the way first. Got to see what happens here as to whether or not Oxygen push up to that 4-2, as you say, Tim, or if we end up with that perfect 3-3 split, of which we have seen
I think
Very many 3-3
80% of our games have gone to 3-3 splits.
It's been ridiculous.
It has been very, very close across all of the games that we've seen. And honestly, I don't see this one being much different. But I'm not convinced that Heroic will take this round. I think OXG are looking pretty solid on the defence at the minute. I've been impressed with them on the whole. I don't think Heroic have got the answers. Sweater is looking to get aggressive onto Noodle, but he's on the upside down rappel. Sweater's sort of focusing on that lower window frame at the minute. Needs to be cautious, of course. He's going to keep himself tight along that wall, which is going to prevent the angle presenting itself for Noodle, but he is ready for any transfer across there. And I think there we go. He's going to get his just reward. Much better start from Noodle. I was critical of him last round. Absolutely not this round. Really good patience from the Amaru there. Would have been easy to go in through the window to try and find that kill, but no, he's got it, and it's allowing Sloth to move across the top floor. Much better from Heroic.
Yeah, that patience being shown, especially by a player so young as well, because let's not lie, most of them come through playing a lot of rank, for example, maybe a little bit of T4 play, where normally the pace and the aggression is the name of the game. You can best people with your skill, essentially. So already to see that level of composure being shown, just to kind of take it a little bit slow here, move forward one step at a time, looking really good so far from Noodle, really impressed.
Heroic have still got a lot of work to do here. As you can see, we've got the trifecta of defenders are still in place. You've got one in library box, one in mezzanine, and one at top blue stairs. Vertical is going to take a little bit of damage from a nade there, but still in position. And basically, once one of these players gets killed, you'll see the others starting to dip away. Once you take one corner of the triangle, it makes the rest a lot weaker and a lot easier to push. But at the minute, Heroic haven't been able to find one until Sloth gets that. Steps out though, and Newer's able to get his kill before, predictably, he dips away. Foxy is going to find his life taken as well, and a perfect example of what I was saying. One corner goes, and generally the rest will fall.
It's those moments of chaos where you're always going to find Heroic coming out on top as well. They play really well with the numbers advantage, though, knowing that Oxygen realistically, you can't commit every single person to holding on that top floor, and have won with the numbers that they had on their side. 2 left standing here. Heroic with 30 seconds on the clock needs to be really careful not to throw this one away. Noodle collects Stream, who's playing down inside a split. There's 1 left standing. It's Newers who's out by Fireplace. Temporary 2v1 coming in, and Grizzly has got the angle. Heroic looking good and composed here so far, Tim.
Yeah, that was a better round from Heroic. I was a little bit concerned on a couple of their previous defences, maybe not taking the opportunities for kills that had presented themselves, but 2 great ones there. The first one we've just seen, and the second one, perfect replay operator as well. Thank you very much. The 2 that I wanted was the kill to start things off onto Sweater. As we said at the time, great patience from Noodle, and then that follow-up nade into library box there, just to take apart that triangle that was holding them back. Really well played from Heroic, nicely done. The one problem Heroic have maybe got at the minute, or one of the problems they've got, moving on to the defence, we've got Newers, who's managed to find, I think he didn't have a kill for the first 3 rounds, so in the last 3 rounds he's got 5. He's starting to get moving, and once those kills start coming back for OXG, they will also start looking like a different team, because let's not forget, Foxy, Sweater, Vertical have all been picking up the slack. That's the question we were asking. If Newers doesn't get them, who else will? Well, we've got our answer, and it's been going well for them so far. So at the minute, they come in here onto the attack with 4 players sort of hot, hitting their shots and ready to go, and that could make this a little bit of a nightmare for Heroic.
Well, we've said this throughout the entire week, realistically, is that a lot of the games we've cast feel like team games. It's not down to one player going absolutely nuclear and dragging their team over the finish line. It is a similar story in this game. One player either side, Uno and Dream respectively, not having the best of games so far, but they've been in more supportive capacities anyway, so it's kind of whatever. Here we get to see, though, that difference that I spoke about. Do Heroic crack here? Has Sloth figured out how to become the true Monkey King and embrace his real self? Or will Oxygen simply be far too superior on the attack? What a C4! Dream cannot catch a break this game. He's been picked apart every single round. Poor sod.
Unbelievable, absolutely beautiful, and I'll just give props to the observer there as well. I'm not sure who we've got with us today.
Sayano we've got.
Fantastic from Sayano there, great work to see that. Absolutely wonderful view that we got of that opening C4. Not easy to predict those ones, but he was all over that, so well done, Sayano. An interesting stat, Des, and that makes it even more interesting. So far, every round has gone with the entry kill. So whoever has got the entry has won the round, and Heroic have just come out there and got themselves an entry. Now, it's a doubly big entry for me because we've spoken about Dream. He's this objective player. He's this, fantastic support player who's going to be the one going in, putting that diffuser down, looking for that opportunity. He's on the Hibana as well, so he's a large portion of their hard breach capability, which is now limited. Boom! Absolutely sits Foxy down. Beautiful from Heroic on the defense so far. Looking electric.
Sweater almost getting stepped up there a second time. He's going to make the smart call to back away here. Those columns not that thick, sadly, to keep you alive for too long. 3v5 then for Oxygen, who have been torn apart here, realistically. Should have been a 4 versus 4. Fox will be kicking himself that he didn't get that kill onto June, but this is what you're dealing with. These boys can be absolutely cracked, and as we've said before, do not mind bringing things down to a little bit more of a frag fest.
Sloth just going to hold the angle. The thing is, Heroic don't need to get aggressive now. If we have a look at what's going on, we've got Sloth, Noodle, both sat inside a site. Grizzly out over in Solarium. Uno as well back inside. They don't need to overcommit here. They've got Jum who's just going to hold his location there at the top of blue stairs. Uno is going to lose himself to double window, but that tells them that there's only 2 inside of the map at max. So I think they're looking pretty good at this point, Heroic. They can just hold their angles.
I mean, really, Grizzly hasn't actually yet moved out of Solar. Either that or he's managed to get his way back in, even with this pressure coming in. They know what's coming upstairs. They know there's a player stepping on through. Sweater now, no doubt, has given away his position with that shot coming out, which means Grizzly's going to get some support as well. Coming in from both sides, so he can get back on his feet and probably find himself a kill here if he times it right. Looking out towards the window, down goes Sweater, and June just hits another naughty shot. This time it's Nuas, makes it a third onto Vert. What a round from June.
A fantastic round with some great kills, but there's one thing particularly that I briefly said there that I want to pick up on for June. That cover of Grizzly was absolutely wonderful. So Grizzly hits the deck, Sweater's coming upstairs, and Sweater knows exactly where Grizzly is. He's been shooting through the floor at him. They know roughly where he is, so he knows that he must be prone. We can see that from his ADSing. And as soon as he's about to step forward and make that challenge, Tracer's across the front of him. And he can't take that extra step that he needs to find that kill onto Grizzly. And that was absolutely brilliant from Doom and Heroic to be able to keep Grizzly in that position, prevent the rappelling from Solarium window, prevent the push up the stairs, but also to keep Grizzly safe and alive. Really, really nice.
Here we go then with a almost identical lineup to what we saw Oxygen running on this exact site. Sans the Kai that we saw earlier on, and of course Sans the Pulse. Instead we have Grizzly coming along with the Maestro and those laser gates coming in from Sloth on the Aruni. So, with how things are looking so far from that first round, it's always hard to call it off the back of one. Really, you want to see the first 3 to get the gist of how things are going to play out. Oxygen here, you've got to be hitting those shots. You can't let June get away with it. Dome in Foxade doing exactly the same onto Nuas on the window rappel as well. Just outgunning them right now, Tim, it feels, really, to be honest. And I know we said both teams have got players contributing, but looking at Noodle, looking at June, both sat at 8 and 4, we need a real challenger on the other side.
Yeah, you just need somebody to step up. You know, a big round, 2-3 kills, and just fire. To be fair, OXG are right in this. It's 4-3. OXG need to pick up an attack here, I think. I don't think they'd like to see it go 5-3. They don't want to go, to their 3rd round before picking up an attack, because at that rate, they know that Heroic can just win by attrition at that point and can just win their 2 first choice sites. So a little bit of a problem presents itself at that stage for OXG. But overall, I don't really have many negatives for either team, Des, in honesty. I think what we're seeing here is 2 good teams competing with each other, and at the minute Heroic have just managed to find the edge. But that's not really, I don't think, because of major mistakes from OXG. They've been unfortunate in a couple of circumstances, losing Dream to a Nitro out of Solarium window to start with. It's not something that you see every day. So I think, to be honest, it's more that Heroic are winning it at the minute.
I agree with you as well. I do think they're looking really, really good.
It's just a good game.
Yeah,
it's a great game.
It is a good game. It's what we wanted to see. So Noodle here stepping across in towards Bathroom with that Kiba barricade, just giving himself a moment of safety. Well, Sweater on the other side, they're having to use one of those breaching rounds to get that cleared away. Sweater with a great shot onto Sloth, though, on the Aruni. Good little cross from the piano there. Straight up, couple of bullets to the head, gone.
Aruni, another one of those operators that they won't worry too much about losing. She's got the... doesn't quite find the kill, but does manage to down Uno, and it looks like our stat might continue, Des. I don't want to jinx it at this point, but the last round, opening kill went to Heroic, round went to Heroic, and that has happened in every single round of the 7 we've had so far. The opening kill this time going to OXG with Sweater picking it up. What a peek from Noodle! Just steps out and absolutely clean Sweater out of the round. Beautiful.
It's so frustrating as Oxygen. They're getting swung on constantly and can't seem to really do anything back the other way. It's great intuition being shown by the players coming out of Heroic. But Oxygen have got to find a way through this. Vert finding Noodle, that's at least one sort of thing you want. Grizzly, the roaming Alderbearer. Who cares about having a fast 3-speed on the go when you got that chunky boy to do some damage? Vert onto Doom, only 2 left standing, and both a bullet from death.
I think that OXG are in a very good position here, 3 versus 2, as you say. Heroic low health, they've got vertical control, 20 seconds left to go. They need to think about the diffuser. I don't think they have it in hand at the minute. No, Newers is going to go and collect it, so there is the opportunity now to put it down. I think with 10 seconds left, it's time to get in and get on with that, which he is going to do behind the bomb chassis. Should be fairly safe here, but Uno, he's laying in wait. He knows he's going to take his opportunity, but misses shots, but somehow manages to still find that kill onto vertical low health, just using every little bit of those hit points. But Newers knows exactly where Grizzly is going to push from, cuts him down, and that leaves us 2v1. It's all up to Uno. He's low health. He's going to have to push through and start finding kills, and the big problem is he's got one above. Foxy's gone and got that vertical, and that is smart play from the Sledge, and that you would expect is that, as Newers manages to find the final kill, and OXG level things up. Entry kill, they win the round. It's 4-4.
It was a real weird gunfight between Uno and Vert as well. Remembering that Uno was on 20 HP, a bullet would have put him in the ground, but Vert not able to collect a single one. And even Uno initially missing out on the 1 versus 1 as well when he had a free shot at him. Here, just dancing around those bullets. But around the Oxygen still get on the board. See how things go. Neither team yet taking their tactical timeout as well. Not too surprised as we are set at 4-on-4, Tim. It is a close game.
As I said, I feel like it's one of those games where both teams have turned up. You know, they're both having their moments. They're both playing well. This is thoroughly enjoyable. It's got me on the edge of my seat, Des. I've not thrown that one in yet. I think that's the first time I've said that one this SI, but it well and truly has got me on the edge of my seat. It's a great game so far, and one that I'm definitely enjoying. And I'll be honest, I can't complain if we see overtime in this first map. Of course, just to remind everybody of the stakes, the loser of this matchup will drop down to the lower bracket, and we'll be playing another match after this one. The winner, of course, will go on and continue across the upper bracket.
Well, indeed. It is still at that stage to talk when people aren't going home yet.
No, not quite yet.
That comes
we haven't
tomorrow.
got those games.
Yeah, they start tomorrow,
Will
I
we
believe.
not have some today?
No. So today is entirely upper bracket. We have this first round, then we have the next round. So the winner of this game.
Yes, yeah, of
M&M
course.
in their
Sorry,
third
we
game.
have the winners play today, the losers play today.
Yeah, and then tomorrow's all losers bracket, then Wednesday's all upper bracket again, which then means we're going to more lower bracket games when things resume on Friday, as Thursday is a break day before. Those of you that are coming along to join us will be joining us, obviously, at Place Bal here in Montreal. Super excited for the actual LAN part to get underway, because a full audience, like the dome shape that we have at Place Bal, just screaming at the players and cheering them on. It's unbelievable to witness.
The thing is, for you know, if you've never been to an SI, it's just. I've been as a fan back in 2019 particularly, and it's just such a great opportunity to spend time with people with similar interests, with the rest of the community. And honestly, I cannot wait after experiencing it at Charlotte in Berlin particularly. I absolutely cannot wait for everybody who's coming to get here and to get that opportunity to spend time with the community and enjoy the games together. It's going to be absolutely fantastic.
I just like being in the arena for the actual reveal is the best part.
It's amazing. Everybody gets so excited. That's the stuff that I mean. If you've not experienced it before and you're on your way in a couple of days, get excited, because you've got a lot to look forward to, and it's an awful lot of fun. So an awful lot of fun is yet to be had here, as Noodle is going to pick up the opening kill onto Vertical, and that's going to give Heroic not just an advantage within the round, but with that trend that we've seen. But Dream is in here, Des. As I said, if he gets a sniff of an opportunity, he'll take it, and he's going to get the diffuser down. 4 versus 1 now. Grizzly, he manages to find Dream, but his job was done. It's too late. The diffuser was delivered, and that leaves us now in a 1 versus 3. Grizzly knows they're going to be on the outside, just hiding in behind the pillar. He's doing everything he can. He's dancing around, but no, it's going to be Sweater to find the kill, and that's going to be OXG bucking the trend as they took the opening death, but they won the round, and that is going to give them an advantage.
I was going to criticise Nuez somewhat there as well, because we had the Legion sat in the corner of Library, gets flashed out, yet manages just to beeline it straight to the hatch and drop down, when Nuez was the one originally sat on the south window who has that angle to take him out as he goes for that kind of drop. But either way, he does a wonderful job set up there on the hold as well, protecting that top floor so there's no ability for the plant to be denied. Gets 2 kills up there as well. Really was the big enabler for that whole attack, and the rest then had to put their focus on executing on the site. Good bit of team play out of Oxygen. Heroic now find themselves down a round.
That's it, and that's 2 rounds in a row. And just Oxygen managing to get themselves a nice little lead now.
Giving themselves some breathing room, getting a bit of oxygen in their lungs.
Go on then, I'll give you that one. If I can have Dream earlier, you can have that one. Oxygen, they, I think, might just start to build a little bit of momentum now. That last round was pretty conclusive. It was on a good site as well. You know, being in gaming, it is a tough site to win sometimes for the attackers, but they got the job done pretty easily. As I say, it's got them 2 rounds in a row. It just feels like they've notched it up a gear, but Heroic have also shown us great ability so far. So can they slam the brakes on here? Can they derail the train that Oxygen are becoming and just level things out? It's going to be kitchen and dining. We saw this in round 8. It was an OXG win. Heroic weren't able to hold on to the top floor, which hurt them. And we'll see if Oxygen can work as good a clearance again.
See what the focus is going to be as well for the defensive side. I mean, sadly, it's... Oh, Grizzly move. I'm pretty sure that impact would have killed his Evil Eye as well as he tried to destroy it. Like, okay, we'll go with it, fine. The one thing I was going to say is for Sloth, I know we spoke about him wanting to have a better defensive half than we've seen previously. He hasn't had a kill in 2 or 3 rounds, I don't think. Was sat at 5 and 4, I think, coming into the second half, so it's been a quiet 3 rounds. Yet to really make himself a known presence. He's playing on the Mark 14 across both attack and defense, so at least trying to create some stability by playing with the same gun. But we need to feel his presence, because as I said, if he doesn't really step up today, the team of Oxygen will just take them apart.
Heroic are using those Kiba barricades pretty openly to try and cut down those angles. They're using them to play in behind Piano, play on double window. Nuez is still without a care walking across. He's looking to get aggressive and find these kills. I don't think they know that he's got himself into master bedroom. It's an absolute freebie there. The call is going to come, and the fight is a little too late as Uno dies inside a side. Sloth, the best he can do is pick up a trade, and that leaves us in a 4 versus 4.
I'd be raging if I was Uno there that they managed to get away with this, but they are going to...
them on top floor.
I know, yeah. Oh, that nade. Oh, cuts for another second. It would have been to perfection. But this one a little bit rare. Not quite got the explosive power needed. But Doom finding Foxay through the wall here. The problem is that kind of became an isolated 1 versus 1 that Heroic ultimately have won. And Oxygen now lacking a little bit of firepower when pushing through this top floor.
Doom doing a fantastic job in those gunfights at the minute. It seems to, no matter what, always comes out just on top. He's got a fraction of health left, but he got his job done. That's unfortunate for Heroic as Sweater takes down Sloth in a nice kill. His game's still going well, 9 kills so far, and really helping his team along. Dream finds June. The little health that he had left is taken, but Sweater is deleted, leaving us now in a 2 versus 2, 30 seconds left to go.
And I feel like they've got the advantage here massively. Heroic. They've still got the Azami on side of Noodle, who's been having a wonderful game. Grizzly as well. Yes, they're largely out of utility, but Oxygen don't have much to throw to the table here either. They're going to have to either drop the hatch or just charge down backstairs. And with 15 seconds on the clock, there's a lot of room for error to be made. Here we go on the push down as the flash comes through, trying to march on forwards. But it feels like Heroic have scattered to the high winds. They've hidden themselves down in basement, hidden away behind the bomb chassis. The clock is going to win this one for Heroic. It feels like Grizzly collected a consolation kill, but Dream here is going to have nothing to do. It's a closeout for Heroic.
Heroic level it up, and we are going to see all 12 of regulation. This has been a consistent theme. I would say following us at SI 23 days, but let's be honest, it's followed us for the last 3 years. Yeah. Just consistently getting the long games, the max rounds, the overtimes. It just keeps going.
Listen to the careful now. We are in man advantage. I need you to fucking fall back. You cannot hold our aggressive angle like that. We need to keep the man advantage.
The thing is right there at the end, like we're just kind of like just stalling. So at that point, like someone needs to come up with a game plan, either get all back down to site. Like, we were on the window for way too long on solar. Like, at that point, just group the fuck up and just play for the trades. Like, I like the confidence. We're in complete control of this game. The problem is we're getting the first pick, and then no one's there to trade once we die, all right? So once we get that first pick, like, I either need someone to run away, or we need to play together, right? So New went in for the first kill, and then we fell back. All right, we got this. Go. Come on, we got this.
Let's focus up. We got this. If they
Yo.
if they go back there next
Yo,
round,
good shit.
Bert, I need you to just pick a spot. No, I need you to just pick a spot, Bert, and just
Don't leave me hanging, bro.
run.
I think I've actually been really curious to see when the first time out came in between these two coaches, because they are two throughout the week that we said actually the impact they're having.
Yeah, they've been very impactful.
And very different styles as well. I think it was something we were talking about in the group chat with the all the casters and the analysts here, and we were saying, you know, very different styles we're seeing where some coaches are there for the hype, the energy to get the players talking and communicating, which is such a critical part of winning a game. Others offering more kind of precise advice on where to change things. But I think you've kind of seen that from both coaches there on both areas, where at the very start, Heroic, you know, Mr. Officer said exactly the right thing, I think, to Sloth is, look, you're overhanging here. We keep on speaking about how little impact he's having on the defensive side. And Officer believes that comes down to him just overhanging and being around for far too long when they've already got the man advantage and is losing out in his 1v1s. Whereas on the other side, it's saying, cool, we've got to be able to play for trades. And we caught that in the last round. Too many 1v1s being taken, and you're not going to win them against players like Joom and Noodle. Like, of course you will every now and then, but it's not going to be consistent is the issue.
Interesting as well that both pieces of advice from the coaches there sort of almost potentially play into each other for a problem for Heroic.
Yeah.
You've got Mr. Officer saying, look, we need to don't overcommit, drop back a bit here, and then you've got Redeemer sort of telling them, go after them, go in, you know, you need that confidence, we need to start pushing forward. You know, and if both of those things happen, you could get Sloth and others dropping back off, and you could get Oxygen chasing them heavily, and you could end up in a situation where Heroic are getting pinned back in the site quite early. We'll see if that's exactly as it plays out. But for the time being, we find ourselves in round 11. Only one of these two teams is going to get an opportunity to take this map in regulation. Obviously, we're not worrying about points anymore. We're not in a group situation. We are sort of in a winner takes all. This is knockout time. The winner will continue in the upper bracket and the loser will drop down to the lower bracket.
Tim, Nox banned.
Oh, good one. I'm not giving you that one. I traded your dream for what other terrible pun you threw in a couple of rounds ago. I can't give you that one.
That was the oxygen and breathing room.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. I'll trade you that.
All right, then. I'll take it for now. Second map, I get a new one, though, because there's plenty more in the tank. Here we go. Sweater looking to work his way in, and I think he knows about a player being sat super tight. Just doesn't quite see him. Sure enough, he does.
Beautiful.
And it's Joom. Oh, could you ask for a better target to find?
Absolutely fantastic opener from Sweater. You know, every time we come into a game asking for more from him, Des, he seems to deliver. It was like that in the final group stage game against Lost One, where we said we need to see a little bit more out of him, and he absolutely delivered that day as well. Dream, he's going to find his kill on to Sloth, and that leaves us now in a 5 versus 3. I'd be interested to see. I didn't see exactly where that kill happened. You know, was it again that situation of Sloth overstaying? Sweater does manage to find Noodle, and this is looking pretty free for OXG right now. Newers picks up a double at the end, and the tack timeout, if anything, has certainly gone in the favour of OXG.
Realistically, we can see another one here because it was OXG that called the last one. Heroic might be able to call in their tack timeout here, and we have another conversation. Nothing I've seen yet come through, though, so maybe they're just going to play on, but I think the advice probably stays. In fact, no, there it is. It has come through. Heroic calling an attack timeout here to have another conversation.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say that. It's fucking ridiculous.
Like, play together, guys. We need to play together, and if you want to play something, play it together. That's it. We're just running around at the moment, legal positions. It feels like we don't know where we're going to win. And no one's called it in that round. We learn from that. So we just need to either listen and play together. Okay. So then, this one, we're going to hold blue and shit, let's play the crosses, and if they go sun and shit, and someone come down and help me, we'll play crosses downstairs, and then you go free side. And then if they put you below, I'm going to come below and help you.
Yeah, then come to me. Put some energy into it now, yeah? Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
So then
make sure if we leave Chimley and library and all that shit, then make sure we reinforce the office walls.
I'm not playing cattle, guys. I'm playing mute, so they can't ace my balls.
Okay. They're going to sit outside like they're doing. We're just going to sit there.
Master here.
Love the interesting part there where Mr. Officer made the decision to kind of back away and just say, you boys talk, I'm not talking, you got to figure this out. And that's not him trying to back out of it and say, I haven't got an answer for you. I think that's kind of similar to what I spoke about, Lycan said a couple of years ago to me, was you need to be able to teach a team to be able to figure problems out in themselves. You can't help them in the middle of a round. If you are trying to do everything for them, how are they ever going to learn? So I almost feel there where Officer has said, look, you guys, I already spoke to you a round ago. You know what my feedback is. You need to figure this one out. And the boys have had the chance to try and do that. I think probably the final few words that he added around energy is the one thing I'd observe. And look, it's really hard to say, oh, be high energy, even when you're getting slammed. But this is a close game. It's 6-5. It's far from over yet. Heroic do really to build themselves up here as well. Look for this team play that they were speaking about, because that's what served them so well alongside Doom and Noodle having a screamer of a game so far.
100% Grizzly there. Interesting words at the end, just picking up, I think feeling that the team were playing a little bit too individualistic, moving on their own plays. He said there as well, we're leaving positions, so maybe just not fitting, not fitting into the overall sort of team plan for the round, and that's something that Heroic are going to have to figure out quickly. We're going to have Doom up on the top floor, taking himself out a couple of drones. The site is the top floor as well. It is going to be Master and Office. Doom drops himself down to basement for the time being. Sloth is likely going to play his life here on the blue stairs and try and prevent this push that's coming in from Newers any second.
Which I don't hate. Like we've just said, don't step past your position. He pushed too far past 90. He got to the point where he was exposed left, right, and centre. Pretty much everywhere he was exposing himself to, and died to Dream on the front door. Here's sat in behind his utility, though, picking out drones where he can, and that's really all he's got to do here is plant his feet, force some drones to come through, wait for Roteros to start coming in, whatever else needs to do, and then back yourself away towards safety. Got some support from Doom downstairs as well, though. Doom, well, that's the kind of confidence you want to see from a player like him who's playing the way he is so far. Takes down Newers, great start.
But that's what Heroic want to see. Sloth has a position to hold. Doom is the player on the roam who can go and take those fights. They don't want to lose that blue stairs position, and the reason Sloth needs to hold that is he's the Azami. He has the utility to hold that. The reason that he needs to hold that is because Oxygen now can't take Library. They can't work from Library in towards Mezzanine to open the wall onto the half-wall plant spot, for example, because Sloth's just going to come up and hit them on the flank. And that's why that position was so important, because it now forces OXG to move away, to rethink, to adapt. And that's really well played, because if Sloth gets over-ambitious there and tries to get that kill onto Newers and loses it, it's not really a position that Doom can just step into. So Doom does need to find that kill. Finds himself another onto Fox here. This is going really well for Heroic.
Please don't give him a third, for the love of God. I mean, it'd be the third 1v1 that Oxygen have found themselves stepping into. The first one, definitely forced by Doom. And it's Dream finding Sloth here, who was dug in. You heard the last keeper barricade come out there for a second as well, so was hoping to be in a position to be able to hold it down, but simply caught blindsided by the march forward across this top floor. Oxygen getting themselves into a better spot, but Tim, I can't help but ignore the clock here as well. Still with a lot of work to do, walls to open, for example, and there's only 30 seconds to play with Doom still out on the roam.
Yeah, I'd agree, and Doom is the key factor at the minute. I think Sloth's done a good job there. 2 minutes 15, he's stayed in that position and prevented them from opening this very wall. 20 seconds left to go. If Oxygen win this round, they are going to have to win it. It's going to be a very good turnaround from them. 15 seconds left to go, and Dream is getting that diffuser down. Looks like he's going to stick it. Doom hasn't been able to have the impact that we expected. Loses an important fight there as Sweater manages to get the kill on blue stairs, and that just sets OXG up to win what will be a real turnaround here to take Chalet. It's 1 versus 3. Noodle, it's 2 versus 3, sorry. Noodle is doing everything he can, but he's going to be shut down by Sweater. Vertical final kill, and OXG take a great win on Chalet with an excellent late round execute in that final round.
Great flank watch as well. I was nervous with only 2 drones left on side, but one was watching the right man, and there was nothing that Doom could do. Fantastic resilience to pull that back as well, given how everything started out. Heroic got to have a conversation, but Oxygen, Newers especially, really warming into that game. The longer things went on, he was 0-4 at one point. Tim ended, what, 12-8? Real turnaround performance, and now Heroic have got to find somewhere. They'll find the answer somewhere. Hopefully it's in this break. Back in a few minutes.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Welcome back to this game of Heroic versus Oxygen. Chalet was a little bit of a close affair up until it wasn't, Tim. Final 2 rounds, Oxygen taking in confidence. That last round especially, even winning from a man disadvantage, well, 2-man disadvantage actually. It was 3v5, I believe.
It was well played. It was well played by Oxygen. I liked it. The response to Sloth and Doom did, I want to give them a bit of a shout on that round because I thought they did a fantastic job of holding down blue stairs. Doom picking up the kills on the roam, recognising, that they needed Sloth in that position to use the utility to hold it on. They did 2 minutes 15. It was great. There was just, I think, a bit of a lack of attention inside of sight that allowed Oxygen to get in there. It was a great late round execute from them. 20 seconds left to go. They were able to go in and secure that plant. We spoke about it in the break. You pointed out there was maybe a little bit of a lack of presence in Piano and other places to prevent that diffuser going down at half wall. So Heroic just letting it slip a little bit, I think, in the last 30 seconds.
And again, we said at the very start, a big difference today would be whether or not we did see Sloth delivering on the defense. We did not. I think he collected 1 kill in the entirety of that second half. But on the other side, we spoke about the newest show. Really, today was all about Sweater. What a game he's had in that first map. I know he started strong and we thought, okay, this is where he goes quiet again. No, he kept the heat up throughout the entire game. Definitely rivaled by Noodle and Joom on the other side, but the Newers and Sweater combo just a little bit too much for Heroic to handle. Now we get to go into our second map, which is Clubhouse, where Heroic start on the defensive side.
I think Clubhouse, I've got a feeling, could be a little bit difficult for Heroic. I know it's their map choice.
I'm pretty sure it's Oxygen's most preferred map, though, over the last year.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I like Heroic to get back into this. Obviously I'd love to see map 3, as we always do love to see map 3. We want to see these, especially now when you're talking about, losers dropping down to lower brackets and things like that. We're at the real, the sharp end of the tournament, as we start to call it, where, decisions are really getting made now. Every game counts, even more so than it does in the groups. So of course we want to see it as competitive as possible. I just think Oxygen had the edge on Chalet, and I think that might carry forward.
The weird thing is, I know for Heroic, historically, Clubhouse was a pretty good map for Oxygen, and then really over the last, say, 12 months, it's been a middle pref map. They both liked it. They don't love it, but they equally don't hate it. But over the last 3 or 4 months, that is when it has shot up to be a firm favourite for Oxygen. So this could end up being either a really smart call for Heroic where they feel they've got some counter prep ready, or a really silly call where you've given a team their most comfortable map. Or it could just be with them bringing in Sloth, for example. They had to try and find what worked for the team where they look most comfortable, even with it not maybe being their highest pref when they had a full 5. Time will tell on that side of things. The Ash being banned away feels like potentially a bit of a target ban against Self, really, because I know that we saw a lot of that as Sweater back on Chalet, unless it just simply doesn't factor into their plans on the attacking side of Clubhouse here. As said, Heroic start on the defense. Let's see how things shape up. I think the Azami ban's a smart one too.
Yeah.
That was used a lot by Sloth.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've just praised Sloth's performance on the blue stairs in the final round, and, that was using Azami. It was difficult for them to clear him out. It took over 2 minutes to do so. So, yeah, I think it's a good shout. We're going to get into things here now. It's round 1. It's going to be down in Church and Arsenal. Heroic start on the defence, so they continue as they left off on Chalet. And we'll see how much of a top floor presence they have. That's my big question over this one. Do they turtle up on site, or do they send Sloth and Joom potentially out on the roam, see what they can get?
I think you have to send them out on the roam here and get a little bit busy, but not even just that, send Noodle out there as well. I know that he's playing here on the Mirror, but equally you also got Joom set on the Warden. So I'd like to see 2 or 3 of them getting out and busy, because where I think they're going to deliver their best is in those kind of 1v1 gunfights. We've seen Joom and Noodle destroy Oxygen in several rounds. If you can play the more disruptive sort of play style, then absolutely look to get away with it. Just be careful that on Clubhouse you're not finding yourself being backed into lanes where things are being held down, as we've seen several times on that last map. I always think about Dream on front door with Sloth working his way up 90. Oxygen have had their number a few times when it comes to holding down crossfires or angles and just almost baiting Heroic into a trap.
Immediate pressure onto the CCTV window here from Sweater. I like it. Sloth being forced back down the main stairs. I don't think he'll go all the way back just yet, is he? He's going to drop down to Joom's position.
Feels a bit early, doesn't it?
It is a little bit early. Yep, they're both going to bail down there. So that's going to leave us now with 5 on site, pretty much. And
I wonder if that was a conversation in the break between the games where Mr. Officer was just saying, guys, we've got to chill out a little bit, Let's stop getting out of position. Let's stop getting too aggressive on the defensive side. We know we can play behind our utility. Why not just stick to that? And I guess the thing is for Oxygen, they still have to do a full map clear as well. They're still going all the way across this top.
Yeah, this is the thing. You've still got to first check it. You've still got to make sure, because you don't want to, rely on the fact that they've dropped back. Unless you have eyes on everybody down on site, you don't want to be getting hit on the flank, which is all too easy sometimes. We're going to have damage taken to Sweater through the floor there, but there is a bit of an exchange. Doom taking some damage as well. Halfway through the round, Oxygen, I feel now, should be comfortable that they've got that map control, so it's about starting the process of opening up those hatches.
They've got to establish it with the Claymores, though, right? They've got 4 on side because they were expecting a little bit of craziness coming out of Heroic. That simply hasn't come to be a thing. So this is the time where I'm thinking, all right, cool, Claymores down. You've got the stairs under control, for example. Make sure they stay on the downstairs and then start using the utility you do have to get things ready. Here we're trying to get rid of the mirror window, so they even had the Thatcher on side if it was required too. They've got the Buck of Foxay to get to work upstairs, and just now he started blasting through that floor as we get towards this 60-second mark.
Bit of a nightmare for Noodle now, as he's in a position where that triple wall has been opened up, not just a little bit, but a lot. Oxygen just going to have a great line of sight all the way through. They're going to try and push blue as well. Newers is just looking for the angle, but the man inside the sight is going to keep himself locked away for the time being, but Vertical's walked in and got 2. He's going to be shut down by Doom in a trade, but this could be trouble now for Heroic. As the kills keep on coming, we find ourselves quickly in a 2 versus 3 in what is looking like a stereotypical Church Arsenal bloodbath dream. Opportunity presents itself, so once again he's going to take it. He's going to stick that diffuser, and it's more good objective play from OXG, keeping that structured approach, and I love what I'm seeing.
I was a little bit nervous when it came down to a 5v5 execute. I thought Oxygen wouldn't really have enough utility to pull this off. We saw the 2 frag grenades burnt straight into the magnets, but when it came around to actually pushing the sites itself, Oxygen just played super well. And I know I feel like I'm dogpiling on a little bit after the last half of Chalet, but Sloth there has got so greedy in trying to complete a kill that he should be expecting in a 5 versus 5, you are going to have Oxygen playing for trades. That was their own feedback for themselves during the timeout. Look, play for trades, play together. They're doing it. This exact moment here, he's so locked in to try and finish off the play when really he should be keeping guns up on Moto and being ready for someone to round the corner. A little bit of greed there being shown.
It's just a great example of, the marginal differences that we're talking about between winning and losing rounds.
Yeah.
Like you say, Sloth comes around that corner, has the aim already on Iana, gets the kill. He can finish his kill then. He's got 2, he's still in position, and maybe it's a different outcome. But, we are talking very small differences. Heroic failing down in the basement then will head us up to gym and bedroom for the next one. We're going to have the mirror brought along again, but this time it's going to be Uno rather than Noodle. We're going to see Noodle on the Oryx. I feel like that's maybe a better operator for him, sort of take the chains off a little bit, get him out and let him do what he does best and do some damage.
That last round showed for me more than anything else why Heroic prefer playing the kind of more aggressive play style as well. They want to be disruptive, they want to look for gunfights, why not? When it's come around to the execute, Oxygen ultimately comes from a region that definitely favours executes far more than most others. I'm not saying they're always going to plant more than other teams, but you think about like SSG, Dark Zero, even somewhat old school TSM as well, really focused on a good solid strategy that leads to you winning around comfortably. If you don't disrupt that plan and try and kind of rip the paper up at step 1, of course they're going to get away with some really good executes off the back of it. So that's what I want to see. It's Heroic looking to be more aggressive here, getting more in the face of Oxygen earlier in the round, looking to contest them. Here at least we have got a couple hanging out towards the east side as well, which is a good start. But already Oxygen have basically said, yeah, forget about that game. We're going direct for site.
Yep, Dream's going to just be sending the drone in, see what sort of protections are in place on that jacuzzi wall. He'll see that there are none really, so the Maverick work will begin. No major concern for Foxy in getting that open. Uno is going to look like he's in a critical position here on the mirror window. He's got Nitro in hand. I don't think he's going to try it until that wall goes, but as soon as that piece drops out, he's going to be ready to throw. And Foxy just applying a lot of caution here. He's a little bit unsure. We saw Nello try the peak from Dirk Tunnel the other day, didn't get away with it, and they're not going to get away with the Nitro either. Thrown a little bit early from Uno, but just looks like a little bit of a messy breach here.
A little bit messy, but I like it. Rather than going at ground level and potentially getting sniped out, puts it above crouch height and carries on from there. Doom caught trying to come up main stairs as well. It was a really good read coming out from Newers, and again, they just feel like they've got a better hold of Heroic here. Unsurprising, given it is again Oxygen's favourite map.
Uno keeping that mirror window in place could be a big thing. There is now 3 stacked up towards that side. Everybody's wanting to push in from Jacuzzi, and the longer that Uno can stay there, the longer it's going to prevent them doing that. If we have a look at the ace, we can't see the gadgets at the minute until Dream comes off the drone, but when he does, we'll be able to see exactly how many left. But they find an alternative. They go looking from underneath, but Noodle, as I said, take the chains off, let him do some damage. That's exactly what he's going to do, taking down Ewers.
I think what they haven't expected there is that Noodle will push from the same spot that Joom did and died to earlier on. Maybe they figured that Heroic normally would send players off to different angles and try something else, but no, they've doubled up there, admittedly about 60 seconds or so apart, and managed to get at least one back. But that's the thing, Tim, it is only the one. With 4v4, I still quite fancy Oxygen's chances here.
Foxy is just going to be holding his position for the time being. Absolute freebie. That was the information, and I like that coming out of Oxygen, but it's the double down again. Do they know that the second is coming? Yes, they do. Foxy is going to lose the fight, though. Sloth comes in and gets himself 1. Uno 2 on the Vector, leaving us now in a 1v1, but it's Sloth and his low health. Time is ticking down, though. All he needs to do is play the clock here. Sweater has to stick this. Sloth just needs to push and make him come off the plant. I'm not sure that he knows, though. He needs to be taking a pot shot. He's let him get his gun up. This could be dangerous. And yes, Sweater gets the round in the nick of time.
Great little ending play there by Sweater as well. Was nervous when he didn't fully stick to that single wall, but got away with it, and clearly Sloth either didn't hear or the team just simply had no idea what was going on. A real scrappy affair, and Foxy punishing Heroic again. Almost trying, like I said, starting to get a read on them now. Expecting to have these flanks coming out, expecting to have players looking to get cheeky.
That is, it's unfortunate for Heroic, but at the same time, you know, there's a bit of me that thinks you must know that diffuser's going down. There's a second or two left.
Don't expect it, right?
The clock's extended. You maybe even just put in a few shots in through the wall. Just, anything. I'm not saying it wins you the round, but I think Sloth just caught in a little bit of indecision there, wanting to let the round develop rather than sort of take initiative. Wanting things to happen to react to them rather than, is there anything I can do, to take the lead on this. But unfortunately, for them at least, Oxygen are going to take the round 2-0 now. And I tell you what, Des, OXG are looking good on the attack here, and that leaves them with the defence of Clubhouse. And coming into it, I said I fancied OXG to take this in 2 potentially, and right now, Heroic, they look beaten, and they're looking like they are on the back foot.
Looking a little bit flat, aren't they, as well, when we cut out to the team as well. Not too much communication going on, but I think I'm with you there. If Oxygen can have a really good attacking half here on Club, knowing they're coming into the defence on a map that is so natural to them, Heroic are going to really struggle to break that down, I think.
Well, let's see how we go. It's going to be a third round. It's not going to be a third choice site. It's going to be back down to Church and Arsenal. We saw this in round 1. OXG were able to get the win. Honestly, I just feel like OXG have got that momentum now. They've really started to double down. They've come in. Newers has taken a lot of damage there, but he's taken Noodle out immediately. That's going to force the rest of Heroic back to site, likely. We can see Joom and Sloth are still away, and this could be problematic. If either of these get picked up trying to return to site, then Heroic are in a bad spot.
It's just peak Oxygen when you've got Sweater on side, because that's always been the big challenge for them is, again, Newers is always going to play well. We expect it out of him, but do we see Sweater playing well too? The answer right now is yes. The pair of them are 3-1. We've had that 1 versus 1 being won by Sweater in the post plan. It's just all starting to come together, and here he is bringing down Sloth, who cannot get a foot inside this series, it feels.
There's only one on site at the minute. As soon as Oxygen realise that, they can just collapse and they can deal with Joom as he returns. They really don't need to worry about him too much. Grizzly's made his way up to main stairs as well. There's a real opportunity for them to get in and start thinking about getting the diffuser down, and that's what Dream's doing. He's held for leather straight in there. He's going to take the challenge to the back of the site, but he doesn't really need to. He can just get in behind this box and start planting exactly what he's going to do. This is perfect from OXG. Sweater just coming into a gunfight with the man inside a church. Vertical finds Grizzly. That leaves Joom all alone in a 1 versus 5 with diffuser down. They don't know exactly where he is. He gets 1 for free, but that just exposes his position. He's taking bullet after bullet. He's full white flash, and surely this is the end of the round as Joom does manage to relocate, manages to find another, but then cut down, and that is going to be OXG 3-0 and running away with Clubhouse at the minute.
Unsurprisingly, Heroic calling their tactical timeout.
One round at a time. Nice. You're back.
Look, I don't know what's going on. Look at me when I'm talking. Everyone. You have to stop this toxicity. Don't fucking... No. Listen to me. You cannot talk to your teammates like that. Whatever, who's doing whatever, if someone needs a call again, just fucking give the call. All of this negativity, boys, is gonna lose us the game, honestly. And every fucking round, we're giving them an opening kill. What happened to making plans together and going for it? Either we play turtle or we fucking play aggressive. End of fucking story. Right now, you're playing like losers. This is loser mentality. We already gave up. There's no energy even. Come on. Every fucking next 3 rounds now, we go with one plan and everyone fucking commits. Nothing else. Can we believe in that?
Yeah.
Let's fucking go, man. Let's go. Give some energy.
And we fucking take it round by round. Take these last 3 defenses.
Oh, that's scathing!
If you remember,
Damn, officer, I want to have your children.
If you remembered, as I said, that, you know, I got the feeling coming into round 3 that Heroic were beaten. They were playing as if they were beaten. And that tactical timeout doesn't really surprise me too much. You know, the thing is, these things do transfer, and you can see them in the server, and you can see, you know, the sort of confidence or lack of it going into gunfights and the losses, and obviously, you know, issues within the team there. They're getting to a point where, you know, there's maybe a little bit of conflict in there.
A little bit, Tim. Right, no. You're not positive washing this out. This is what Tim does. He has just had his pants down there and basically said, stop being a toxic little dirtbag. That is not how we play this game. And you know what? I really respect that in a coach. That even mid-game, he turns to a player and says, look at me when I'm talking to you, pack it in. Because he's right. If players are being toxic to each other, 90% of issues in the team are caused by communication. I think I joked the other day, 87% are made up on the spot, and they are made up on the spot. But it's true, communication is such a big part of this. If players are getting toxic and shirty with each other, you shut that out straight away. So normally we'd see a 3-round timeout if you've lost 3 rounds on the bounce anyway, but it coming in there to just say, look, this stops now, and we fix this, completely with it. It's not going to get much better though, as Sloth here has been utterly punished, which to me suggests a little bit of an issue. We heard him sulking about, okay, look, either we all go aggressive or we play turtle. 4 players are playing turtle and Soft's been punished for going aggressive.
That is not an ideal start after that team talk. You know, after the blasting from Mr. Officer there, you know, we'll call it as we see it. That is really not going to help matters, I don't think, for Heroic. They are now in a 4 versus 5 from the beginning of the round. They're going to spend a lot of time trying to hold on. Look at this progress from OXG. They're like sharks. They smell blood in the water and they're going for it. You know, they're pushing into construction already. They're going straight across this top floor. They are not messing around.
Whew. Okay, they've got the fuse on side as well. I think the second time we've seen that pick coming in this week. In a good spot to do some damage if only there was a good place to use it. Oh wait, there is. There's a whole soft floor to make use of on the upstairs here. So you can understand why Oxygen want to force this top floor issue first and foremost and get Heroic away from the top floor. They've already found Sloth. Doom is going to be the next one to remove, and once he's gone, they can probably start putting those charges skyward and facing downwards and doing some serious damage.
Newer's just, again, holding that angle. He has been held up a bit here. This isn't terrible from Heroic. You know, I commented on the speed that OXG have been able to move with, but they've certainly found themselves coming up against a stopping block. They've not been able to just continue pushing forward. Doom is still holding on to Master Bedroom, so this is going reasonably well. He's got Uno in support as well, but there comes the push, and those are the gunfights that I'm talking about, Des. The confidence in Newers to get 1, 2, 3. He is unstoppable. Dream is getting that diffuser down now, and OXG just look like a well-oiled machine rolling over Heroic and just destroying them at every turn.
God, Newers is on one this game. I think he heard us talking about him in those first 4 or 5 rounds back on Chalet, Tim, because he cannot be stopped. To 4K in the round. Heroic in absolute turmoil. Oxygen on cloud 9 right now.
This is it. You know, you mentioned Newers there, and coming into this game, you know, we had to say, you know, what was obvious from the stats, and that was that Oxygen are, you know, reliant on Newers' kills, or potentially. You know, it was a question that we raised. What happens when Newers doesn't get those kills? And the thing is, in tournament terms, we got the answer that we wanted in Chalet, and that is that the rest of the team stepped up. Foxy got kills, Sweaty got kills, Vertical got kills, and that is a trajectory for this tournament. Bodes fantastically for OXG, because when Nuers has a quiet half, we've seen that they come out and still get the job done and still keep themselves fighting in the map. And then we move on to another map, and when Nuers delivers, look at what OXG look like. They're 4-0 up and absolutely steamroller in Heroic.
Mullering them is the best way of putting it. It's hard because, again, they've had their timeout as well. There is nothing that Heroic can do to set this one right. And sadly, Officer, I think all you were saying, look, we're going to lose this game if we carry on. I feel like that's the only way this can possibly go. 2 more rounds on the attack, and they could be very punishing ones for Heroic, who can't even buy a round right now.
They really can't, and we've seen this from teams before, you know, countless times over the years. It happens, and I'm just getting a feeling from Heroic, you know, with the tactical timeout and everything else. Sloth has been entry killed again, Des. It's going to be Nuers to pick him up, and I just feel like Heroic's head has gone.
Me too. I think massively. I mean, Sloth has been caught 2nd round in a row, as you say. It's just...
I feel like the head's gone. That's it.
Yeah. Sadly, it has, and you know, just to kind of point it out, Noodle was the one who was really getting like destroyed by Officer is the only way that I can put it. You know, you'd hope that at some point you see him recover because Noodle's had such a good tournament, such a good game as well. Again, top-rated player for this team, and I know the situations are less than ideal. Again, Sloth's had 3 scrims with this team before coming into this competition, but there's still a long way to go. Not forgetting, this is the upper bracket, Tim. The boys should be happy with where they've got to so far. Doom at least bringing something back, and what a player you could hope to find. Nuers as well, who's having a wonderful game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, you know, for Heroic, from an internal standpoint, they need to find the positive. You know, and I know there aren't many at the minute in a 4-0 down, but like you say, you know, upper bracket, we've done well. This isn't the end of the tournament, even if we lose this. You know, let's go and make a game of it, but it just feels like they're sort of struggling to see that at the minute, and it's understandable. Yeah. But right now, OXG, they are ruthless, Des. They know that is the case, and they are taking this full force to Heroic. Now then, what I will say is, if Heroic are able to turn this around, come back, you know, win the map maybe, I know.
Around, Tim.
No, let me finish. What I will say is, if they are able to do it, I think it will have to go down as one of the probably all-time great performances, because that's the sort of level of effort that I think it's going to take to turn this around.
I don't see anyone on that team called Jesus, Tim. There are no miracle workers.
This is what I mean. It will have to go down as an all-time monumental effort if they're able to. That
was a little bit toxic to laugh at, but I'm going to go with it anyway. No, I'm with you. It would, but the problem is the mental's gone. The gameplay isn't there. That's what's really missing. I mean, look at the kills between either sides right now. Again, I know Nuers has been the one really dragging it through for OXG, but on the other side, no one's even finding themselves going positive at this point. It's a real fight back to get anything going, and here we go. At least one comes through before Noodle gets traded out by Vert. Good team play coming in again, but it's one for the other. June steps across and finds one more. 2v3, and maybe Heroic have finally got around on the board.
A little bit better from Heroic. This is what they need, one round at a time. We talk about it so often. Foxy is having to push in to a mirror window and a deployable shield and Toxic Babe canisters. It's not going to be easy for him. He manages to find one, shut down by Grizzly though, and that is better for Heroic. They managed to get themselves one, and they just need to keep playing one round at a time.
I thought, I was thinking about punching him in the face then. When he ignored the fist bump, I was like, he's going to hit him. He's going to hit him.
I just think, you know, Heroic need to take what's in front of them. They've got the morsel. They've got the crumb that they needed, Des. Now they need to turn it into a banquet.
Whew. Blimey, Charlie. I know it's obviously never good to celebrate a team's like downfall or clearly issues inside of a team, but obviously it's so fascinating to get a lens into team communication and the way they play, and seeing all this now, it's just so fascinating. And you can see the momentum as well. You know, sometimes we like look at the game and just see the stats and go, okay, they're not on the day today, things are going wrong, but we actually get a lens into, again, the things that are going wrong and what teams trying to do to fix them. Last attacking round coming in for Oxygen before they switch over onto the defense is going to be Gym and Bedroom. Last time round, we had Oxygen looking to force their way through and win out on the gunfights big time. It came down to that 1 versus 1 between Sloth and between, I forget who it was Sweater on the line, of course, which is going to play again in this round, or not. Changing finding a way to ace at the very last second. Now, I hope it doesn't come down to being that close again, but we'll see how it gets played out.
If Heroic can get this round and go 2-4 on a bad half, it's going to be a big coup for them, to be honest.
Yes.
They've got away with one if that happens. Foxy, he gets away with one there as he takes a stray bullet coming out of the spawn peak there. Does manage to get away with it, but Noodle looks like he's going to stay aggressive here, looking to push up to the blue stairs window as well, potentially. They're certainly not wanting to give OXG anything for free, but the bullets just raining in through that barricade tell us that OXG, they are ready for that sort of aggression. They've punished it twice already, and they will continue trying to, but they're not going to be able, as Doom on the Solus manages to find that opener and take down Dream. That's the thermite off the board.
It's good to find the one, but if he died there in that push, again, it would have been a kind of conversation about, okay, one player's gone hyper-aggressive and the rest have played pretty passive. There's no looking for trades, for example. And the thing is, on spawn peaks and runouts, you can't really play for trades. It's kind of the point of it. So Doom's looking to get away with one there, and yes, it's that hard breach offline. There is the second one still available in the ace, but that's all they've got to work with here. As long as they play this right, they should be absolutely fine, though.
Sweater just working the rappel for the time being before he's going to try and push into the map. It's gym and bedroom that they are attacking onto, so going to want control of east side potentially, but it looks like they've pretty much given up on the hope of that. Instead, heading to the rooftop, maybe going to work a bit of jacuzzi and logistics, but not having that east side always makes it difficult because we've seen plenty of times the defenders come back in from that side.
God.
Jim's going out of the window.
God.
He's got himself a freebie, and that is the power of the Solus there. Could obviously see the man on the drones is going to be taken down by Sweater, but it's just attrition now. It's just one kill after another. Heroic have got the manpower advantage and they can take those trades for the rest of the round.
You might be able to see the strength in these. Oh, that's unfortunate. I was going to say if the Salma gets on the wall there, he's got two walls open and a mirror window gone. Would be a dream use case and an example of the utility that the ace brings and just how powerful it is. In case you need any reminding, of course. But no, gets caught out by the ADS on the throw through. That's one of the counters, I suppose, you could say we have for the ace here. Not for you, Tim. You can't be countered by an ADS.
I will not be countered by an ADS, let me tell you. Nade underneath is not going to do any damage for New, as he's going to potentially have to look at heading up the main stairs. I would expect that's going to be somewhere that Heroic have got locked down. That's going to give him an opportunity to support this attack that's coming in from the jacuzzi wall, but it's not ideal at the minute for these players trying to push in. They've got a mirror window to work with. They really need Newers to make a move here, I think.
Nade coming up as well, simply not going to find the player too far dug back. Noodle brings down one more. Newers into a second, a 2 versus 3 coming in.
That's what they needed.
Yeah, up main stairs as well, doing a bit of work. Can he isolate 1v1? So the answer should be yes. There's one guy to his left and one in the bathroom. Has no idea about the player on his left though, and Sloth finds a freebie. Sweater's left alone, and Heroic have turned around 2 rounds.
A lack of information coming in for OXG there, I think. Just not quite sure exactly where those defenders were. And as I said, coming out of that half 2-4 is an absolute steal. It's daylight robbery for Heroic the way those first 4 rounds went. OXG were just completely on top of it, and where we thought that Heroic's head might have gone, could that be the moment to just lift their chin up, Des, and get them back into this? The problem is that they're now going to face the defense of OXG, where I feel like OXG are going to be a lot more comfortable and in control.
That's what makes me a little bit nervous. You know, 4 rounds on the attack is nothing to scoff at. That's a really good attacking half on Clubhouse. Even in a world where really the main defensive site is here on the downstairs, the others are all considered off sites and less ideal to play. I still think getting a 4-2 is still incredible work so far. Now we've really got to see Heroic pull it together to win here on the attacking side. If this goes through to map 3 Oregon, I will be surprised, but my God, fair play to Heroic if they can do it. I'm just expecting Oxygen here to close things out quite comfortably.
Going to be down in Church and Arsenal that Heroic need to get things going. Roam clear, I think, is going to be particularly important with the way that Oxygen have done so far, and the fact that they've got the lead that they have. I think that they're going to be happy enough to get themselves out into the map and try to check those challenges, try to make life difficult for Heroic, get aggressive, get in their faces, and as we can see, they've only got 1 or 2 players down on site at the minute, so certainly something that they are leaning into.
And Solus once again being picked up, as we saw on the defensive side for Heroic. Some teams so prolific with this operator, Tim. We've spoken about it all week long. I can't ever forget, I don't think. I think that Dark Zero secret game has like scorched Solis into my memory with just how much work she can do. Noodle here on the Zofia looking to work his way through, at least inside of stock on the push in. Vert still holding on the upstairs, so they have committed to this roam upstairs, as you say, Tim. A couple of them off site, 3 on site, 4 on site. So just Vertical by himself, not too bothered about losing the alibi here if she is the one to go down alone.
No, that's absolutely fine. Vertical, you know, with a great gun to do the job as well. We know how good the Storm can be. We'll just get out there, cause a nuisance, and just do everything he can to waste as much time now. My concern is, no, there we go. I was going to say, I don't know how much Heroic are aware of his presence. They were starting to push down towards blue. A little bit of a concern if they're, you know, not aware of that top floor, but it certainly looks like they are. Doom's going to drop himself back. Might actually be able to get himself back to site here, which is nearly half the work round wasted. That's not terrible. That's pretty good from OXG.
That's okay. I think Heroic fell away at about 45 seconds, so a little bit
that's
sooner
okay.
as well. Yeah, and even got a little bit of support from Sweater as well. Good little bit of team play. It's a pretty standard thing to make sure the zone and change there, shooting the player as he comes across. The only real risk was going to be front door or out towards strip, but simply didn't expose himself to either for any long amount of time. Heroic then have got themselves about 90 seconds to work with here, where they've got this second and third floor control. They know every player is back on site. Now it comes down to the execution. This is going to tell us a lot about how these next few rounds are going to play out.
Doom does take some damage from a Capcan trap along the way.
And another one.
EMP grenade is going to be detonating, allowing that hatch to be open. It's Uno taking the damage from the Capcan trap this time. Heroic just needing to be a little bit more cautious with the droning maybe, and just making sure that they are finding those traps. They don't want to be giving lives away for free. 50 seconds left to go, and OXG have still got all members alive and down in sight and full health. Doom's been able to walk down here. I don't think he knows that there's one behind him though. It's an easy one for Vertical, and that is where that lack of information is going to hurt Heroic. 2 Capcan traps triggered and a freebie for Vertical just says that maybe the droning is on point.
Yeah, normally Iana's got to drone herself in as well because she's the one playing isolated off to her side whilst everyone else is focused on the executing the vertical control that they so sorely need. But Doom there, obviously not quite done the work that he needed to, finds himself picked off, and that's that side flank threat removed unless we get Noodle moving over, which he is now doing, out towards blue side, which is good. Grizzy finds one more, down to a 4 versus 4. The health bars are dropping, Heroic are finding the kills, but Nuas still stands.
Much better as the kills start to come back in, and OXG fight back. Des Fox is going to be downed, it's all up to Nuas. It's a 2v1, 6 seconds. Sloth has to start getting that diffuser down now. Nuas finds 1 and 2. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang. It's good night from OXG.
It's just so casual. A little 2-burst spray and finds both. The reaction times are unbelievable. The clock definitely helping out OXG, but you cannot ignore those shots coming out of Nuas. Wow. Big first round, 5-2 Oxygen.
That is the opener that Oxygen wanted, and that I was, or at least Heroic fans were worried they might get, as you feel that OXG go away, probably lock down another site. There's going to be a second win for them somewhere, which gives them that map point. And then, of course, they've got the basement to go back to. Having won Chalet, for anybody who has joined us since that first map, this, of course, will be match winning for OXG if they can take Clubhouse here and now, and they will continue in that upper bracket. The NA team looking fantastic in this second half. Heroic's heads going a little bit, at least in the first 4 rounds. They seem to have turned things around a little bit, but I'm still just concerned on the attack des about that information game for Heroic. 2 Capcan traps triggered, Doom walking into a freebie down in blue. You know, I'm just a little bit concerned about the communication there. We've obviously seen that tack time out, you know, with Mr. Officer having to lay down the low a little bit. Comms, I'm concerned, could be an issue. That's going to be magnified on attack when you're trying to work flexibly, when you're trying to gather information, when you're trying to form a plan. It could be even more of an issue.
I agree. Well, they've got one chance to get it right, otherwise Oxygen sit on match point and this game looks basically as good as done. Starting things out with this big focus out towards West Wall Jacuzzi Wall, whatever you want to call it. Nice little simple trick coming in here as well with the EMP going down and the exothermic going in. Sweater not around in time to get a trick off there as well. Don't think he was expecting it to come in so soon, but 40 seconds in, Heroic have the wall open. Good start.
Not bad at all. Haven't taken any damage yet as well, so that's another good thing. We don't have the cap can on board, so that's not something that they need to worry about, but at least, you know, not giving away any early picks. They could do with getting, for me, a good couple of entry kills here. Just give themselves a 5 versus 3 and an opportunity to get back into it, because OXG at this point I don't think are going to give them anything for free. They're 5-2 up on the scoreboard, and they just don't need to get overly aggressive.
Grenade from below. Doom's going fishing. Is he a real fisherman? No, because the guy's in the bed. But there is also Vert. I was going to say Vert may have unintentionally stepped across there into a bit of a death zone, but finds himself still perfectly fine as the nade was directed towards Sweater in bathroom. He himself being on the hard flooring, taking no damage.
The particular use there, of course, is getting rid of the mirror. We heard the canister shot out with the glass slides out, and that just deals with that view onto Jacuzzi Wall. So we're going to have them moving away from that position, thinking that they're going to be playing into somebody in the basement, but I don't think that's the case at the minute.
Foxay here's got a little bit of work done, actually. He's completely got control of this east side of the map, as Heroic have ignored it. They've gone direct towards site and working in from below, but haven't bothered with control of the south balcony. So leaving things a little bit tight, potentially. The second nade coming through is not going to find the man that is after, as Nuas finds Doom. 14-3. Make it another. Where was the communication, boys? Nuas goes up to 15-3. What a game he's having.
Doing fantastically out on the roam there. Sloth does manage to get into sight, though. He's doing some damage here, getting aggressive, but he's going to be full white flashed. And again, that might just speak to the communication issues. Foxy managing to get one. Sweater a double, and OXG close out what is a pretty comfortable 6th round for them.
Yeah, do not see a world here in which Heroic bounce back. I know they had a bit of a flourish at the very end, moving up to 2 rounds on the other half, but here, unable to find really anything. A close round. Second one there, a little less close. And it does feel like the writing is on the wall for this Heroic side. The lower bracket will await.
It certainly does look that way. The energy is just, it's leached out of the team. You know, you can see it. And these things happen. You know, there is obviously as much about skill and ability to play Siege in these games as there is, you know, those competitive elements of teamwork and mentality and communication and everything else that goes along with it. That's why we've said and will continue to say for the longest time, you know, Siege is not about kills. Siege is not always about just everything that happens inside of the server, and sometimes, you know, the more sort of complete team will beat the more sort of quote-unquote skilled team. Yep. You know, not to say that that's the situation here, but OXG, honestly, they've looked fantastic. They've grown into this game. They've looked better and better as it's gone on. They look like an absolute force here on Clubhouse. I think that is helped a little bit by Heroic's response to the Chalet loss and their mentality within the team. But yeah, OXG doing a great job. So we head into what could be our final round of this opening playoff game on the A stream of 6 Invitational 2023. Heroic versus OXG, and OXG absolutely dominating on Clubhouse after a hard-fought affair and a win on Chalet. This could be the end for Heroic.
I think it's going to be, oh, and Sweater's even found a cheeky one to Sloth. You know, from a team that loves these kind of early run-outs, jump-outs, you name it, you think they'd expect it. But here it's the Thatcher gone as well. Oh, that's even more painful than a hard breach because there's 2 of those available, but there's only 1 Thatcher. Feels like the start of a football chant. Oh my God, it couldn't get much worse. They're going to try and nade their way through this one as well with the Bandit on side. As long as they time it well, he could get back in and make this happen. In he goes. The second one comes through. Will it kill him off here as well? No, because they whiff it and they get rid of the exothermic as well. Things are going from bad to worse here as there are no frag grenades on side. There is no way through this wall. This is about as bad as it gets at the start of a professional round here when trying to take control of gym and bedroom.
Noodle managing to work something out there. Gets a kill onto Nuas, who was getting aggressive onto that window. No surprise, given what we've seen from OXG so far. Looking, you know, absolutely fantastic so far on Clubhouse. As I say, they just dealt with Heroic fantastically well out on Jacuzzi Wall there. And it's just, as you say, falling apart for Heroic right now. 2-6 on the scoreboard, match point, and they've managed to get themselves an opener. That's something that they can build on. But honestly, Des, at this point, I'm not sure even that's going to be enough.
No, this is so hard because they ignored coming in this direction last time round, and that was on an attack in towards gym and bedroom. Not forgetting that we are attacking in towards bar and stage here as well is the one thing to remember. Yet for now, they've even struggled to get vertical control of the site, which they know they need if they're going to win this round rather than trying to get past it. Last 60 seconds come into effect. They've got support from Sweater from below, so do not push in through the breach. Right kind of idea as two members have moved their way down south, but it's 2 quick kills. Foxay blitzing through Heroic as 2 of them try and push in. Dream finds another. Doom is all that's left here that stands between Oxygen and progressing through into the next round in the upper bracket, and Heroic being cast down lower. 30 seconds left.
It's a 1 versus 3, Doom. He's just got to find these 1 kill at a time, but cannot even pick up the first. Foxy, he's behind the desk, just dishing out the pain there to close out the round and the match for OXG, and that is going to be the NA side continuing in the upper bracket. Congratulations to them, and well-deserved reward for a fantastic performance. Heroic Des, I've got big concerns about them in the tournament now. They've done well so far to get into this upper bracket, to finish second in their group, but I think they might struggle to come back from that even in their next match tomorrow.
That's going to be a big rattler. Knowing the pressure builds up even higher going into the lower bracket is only going to make things worse. And I think when we all got that exposure to the tactical timeout, we all know there is a conversation to be had. And I'm very sure Heroic and Mr. Officer especially will have a few words to have with the boys a little bit later on. So Tim, that's our first one done and dusted. Obviously, G2 Wolves are still underway as well, so we'll hear the outcome of that one relatively soon, I'm imagining as well. But that, bit of a speed run from Oxygen.
It was, especially the second half of it. I just love this point of the tournament. We get to go and sit, and I think there's a bit of shouting going on there from the G2 Wolves game as well. I think that's been a hard-fought affair so far. But we're in the meat of the tournament now. We're in the playoffs where real decisions start getting made. As we've seen there, OXG, they're going to take a lot of confidence from this game.
They are, and what I love is that Sweater stepped up big time as well. We were talking about Nuas a lot. We kind of wrote Sweater off, but take a bow, and I apologise. I wasn't familiar with your game. He's put on a real show there. We'll go to a break, and when we come back, the desk will break it down for you. See you in a bit.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
And welcome back to the Command Center. A commanding victory for OXG to take our first game. Heroic fall to their North American opponents. But now we focus on an interview, our first one at the Invitational. So we're bringing them back, and I'm very happy to welcome Nurs with us here on the Command Center at the desk. Congratulations on the victory. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Ready for the next game.
It's a big win, big win. We're going to ask you some questions in detail. So, Jack, why don't you get started?
Yeah, so my first question is, you are the team that played the least amount of maps in group stages. I don't know if you know that. Only 4 maps you've shown. You picked Chalet, so Heroic hadn't seen you in group stages. Is that the thought process? You hide in a few maps?
Yes. We just wanted to play border. We knew we were really good at border, and then teams started catching on. So we're like, we're not doing this. We're just going to start picking every other map. We just saved a lot for playoffs, so now it's showing, and, you know, easy dub.
Nice.
Cool, sounds good. For the second map, that Ash ban, was it a target ban?
Yeah, that was definitely a target ban. Like, we walked to the bathroom, and they just looked really upset, and we knew Noodle, I think, he plays Ash.
Yep.
We knew he was really comfortable on Ash, and we just knew if we banned it, you know, they would have a lot of trouble. And even when they had it, they still had a lot of trouble, so.
Building up frustration for your opponents, knowing exactly what to go for. But
basically,
now you know that your opponents are M&M. That'll be in like 4 or so hours. You've seen how they tore through their group. Is there anything in them that scares you? Anything you're like, okay, this is something we got to focus on?
No, nothing about them scares me, honestly. The logo's a marshmallow, so nothing about them really terrifies me.
You're oxygen. You're just 2 molecules together. What is it?
Doesn't matter. EU fanboy, doesn't matter.
Whoa. Fair enough. I mean, let's be completely honest. But now that this is done, how are you feeling so far with the tournament? Now that you're in playoffs, how's the team morale to progress through this? Feeling good?
And we're feeling really good now that we can show every map and just, you know, play confidently. I feel like there was a little bit of nerves at the beginning, and, you know, 10 maps later, we're feeling really good. I felt really good, personally.
I mean, you were performing really well on the server.
Yeah, I was just jumping in random windows, and it worked, so.
Against a disjointed team, I have to say that's something that would work very effectively.
It would.
So,
it would.
Fair enough. Well, friends, thank you very much for joining us, but we also have an MVP for this game. Guess who it was?
Mitch. Dream.
It's you. There he is.
There I am.
There's the MVP of our game, 153 EPS.
Ooh, plus 15.
Plus 15. I mean, look, who enables you feel on the team to like get these scores? Because there's no way you're just jumping out of windows. Come on.
Well, I definitely get droned in by Mitch, and the whole team was honestly working like really good on the drone work. Even Sweater, I was like, Sweater, just hop on a drone, drone me and strip, and that's when I killed that Legion in Kitchen Hall. Or I was like, Fox, drone me in blue, and I just jumped in blue, killed the Omai, turned his back to me, and we worked pretty well today. We just gotta get used to like calling each other's names and like telling us what to do. You know what I mean? Just direct everybody, and it worked really well today.
Okay, there you go. Thank you very much. Wonderful analyst.
Thank you, guys.
Nurs, for joining us. Congratulations on the win. We'll be seeing OXG and Nurs, of course, in their game against M&M in around 4 or so hours. So stick around to see more from our North American squad. Now let's recap our game here on the analyst desk, map by map. Thanks so much again. And we move on to the stats themselves. And how was map 1 Chalet?
Well, map 1 Chalet had a bit of a slower start for Nurs, who we just had the interview with. It was more, I guess, maybe the Sweater show on the side of Chalet. He stepped up very well. I would say if you look at the takes from Heroic, there were some really good takes on their attack. They got rid of factors that really stopped them from going for an execute. We saw Oxygen work with a pulse consistently, work with C4s to get that information from underneath. And Heroic knew that they needed to counter it out. They needed to get rid of the pulse before they could go for any side execute.
I'm actually going to give props to 2 players on this team. Now, it's very easy to go, oh, Noah's got a lot of kills. But actually, for me, Fox was clinical on Chalet and Sweater as well. Fox was forcing his teammates to make plays together. And that's the sign of a good leader. He's telling them whenever you do something, you tell somebody about it. You grab someone to do it with you. You make the best value play you can. And Sweater, he was doing that, and he had a massive game on Chalet.
Well, it seems like it was the opposite side for Heroic, because we heard it also in the comms between them saying, hey, Mr. Officer, look, this is like loser mentality here. Right? You're just not chatting together, you're not talking together. And it was already, bad enough, I feel, on Chalet. It got worse come map 2.
Yeah, it definitely got worse on map 2. You could see that it was just them, during the second map, the mentality was just kind of gone. The players weren't really communicating. It felt as if Oxygen was way more vocal, as in what they wanted to do, as in, indeed, as Nurs said, directing players and asking stuff from certain players. And Heroic's vocal ability just didn't seem to be there. They weren't vocal enough asking people to play and do certain things today.
Jack, since you're here, would you like to talk something maybe more in detail, maybe telestration?
Maybe a little bit of telestration, Milos.
Interviews and telestration back to SI.
We love a bit of telestration. I'm going to head over to the telestrator. Now, the one thing that I am going to show, and I'm just going to pause it as soon as it starts, the one thing that I'm going to show on the telestrator is I mentioned it just then about Foxy and Sweater, and Foxy pulling people to make plays together. Now, he was doing that, especially on Chalet, by playing a lot of Pulse. It's not an operator we see a great deal. So I'm going to roll this clip, but basically, Sweater has been playing in bar, Foxy has been Jackal tracked, and we'll roll the clip. Foxy has been Jackal tracked on the blue stairs, so it's Sweater and Foxy making plays together, and Heroic, it's rough because they don't really have the teamwork, and we're going to show a lot of good teamwork here between Sweater and Fox. So the Jackal tracks come in, June's going to try and get the kill, doesn't get the kill. Now, here's the important bit. Heroic have actually set themselves up in a nice vein of form here, where you've got Noodle on the basement, and he is holding towards both players. You've now going to have Sloth that comes in across the top to blue stairs. That is a perfect crossfire, and that is what you want in for Heroic. However, the timings between the two players don't quite work out, and Fox makes a really good play. Fox is fully aware of this, and he says, I'll sacrifice my life because you're my gunner, Sweater. You're going to be the guy that hits the shot. Fox Ferrari's past, Sweater peeks, gets the kill, and Sloth is just way too late to come and try and follow up in terms of trying to get that kill. So that was basically what could have been a 4v3 to Heroic, actually a 5v3 for Oxygen.
Thank you very much, Jack. It's good to go through details with you. Now we move on to map 2 in the series, where things got even dire for Heroic, because even getting kickstarted was a problem, and maybe it's a problem in the experience, maybe in the kind of lateness of how Heroic was put together going into SI, because now we're talking serious in playoffs. They still have a life, but in here, OXG ran through their opponents.
Yeah, they had particularly really good information on all of their attacks. We saw it on Chalet, where they utilized the Zero very well. We saw it here where constant yellow pings came out. They just had the information. They knew where players are. Here you see the red pings coming out on the bathroom position as well. I kept track of the entry engagements as well for Heroic, because we did talk about it in the pre-show. During the first map, it was pretty good. They had some pretty good entry engagements and quite good conversion into round winning as well. But then that second map, I mean, there can't be any entry conversion if you don't get any entry kills.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
Exactly. I think that was the solution that Heroic went for today, because they couldn't really get any entries on the board except for the last round, and they did convert that round, but it will need some work still going into further matches.
There's a time that you've got when you lose the map 1 that you're not meant to lose, and realistically Heroic should have won that map. They were heads gone. Heroic were absolutely heads gone for the first 4 or 5 rounds, where they were just not in the fight. And Oxygen, you know, they noticed that. You know, we saw Nuas say it on the desk, and he said it to us privately before we did the interview, was that as they, you know, after the players come off the map 1, they all usually go to the toilet, have a quick chat, go into map 2. As they're walking past the Heroic guys are arguing, and they looked at them and said, we're going to ban Ash, we're going to target you. And they were really playing into that mental side of the game, especially those first few rounds. Once you've got 4 or 5 rounds on the board, and you're a team, and I did come into this saying that Oxygen are a team that have probably underperformed and Heroic are a team that have overperformed. Oxygen still have layers to go through and to get up to peak performance, and they did that.
I mean, there are 7 layers if we're accounting for the entire stratosphere, and right, you're a teacher.
Yes, but I didn't really teach these types of things. The basics as a primary school teacher.
It's a basic. Anyways, 7-2 OXG versus Heroic, smashing their opponents on Clubhouse. Now, for all the Heroic fans, don't you worry. They're not eliminated just yet. They get pulled down to the lower bracket, and they should be playing against Space Station tomorrow morning. So watch out for it to see what happens. It'll be their last life in the tournament, but SSG knows at least now who to expect, and OXG moved on to M&M. I'm just glad that I got called an EU fanboy by Noyers, because he's right.
I thought we've done a pretty good job as a fully U desk of hyping Oxygen up, to be honest, Milos.
Yes.
I feel like that was unfounded, and he maybe should apologise.
I
difficult.
demand an apology. This is outrageous. That's something
really
like that would.
for some people to apologize. I'm not saying it's for Nurus, but just for.
Fair enough. But you are right. Don't be that guy or that person in general. Thank you very much, and Fresh and Nerds, of course, for joining us on the interview desk here. OXG. We'll see you in a bit.